Okay, it's January 2nd, 2024. It's the Wolfeboro Public Library. Tonight's meeting is the Wolfeboro Budget Committee. And tonight we're going to talk about one last agency, which is Tri-County Community Action, and do a final budget review, and then take care of any other business and approve some minutes. Will you join me for the pledge? Matt, pledge.
Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everyone. Okay, any public comment before we start? Okay, seeing that, we'll move on. Tri-County Community Action.
Yep, right here. Where? Thank you. Sitting here or standing? Oh, okay, thank you. Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Brenda Gagne. Oh, sorry, chair's cold. Sorry. I'm the Chief Programs Officer for Tri-County Community Action Program. Thank you for allowing me to come tonight. Thursday night, our CEO came down with a bad cold and wasn't able to make it, so I do appreciate you giving us the opportunity to come back. Also, I brought for you stats we were unable to send the town previously due to our fabulous statistician resigning. Oh, great, thank you. So this will give you an idea of the services we've provided to the town of Wolfeboro. Last year, 337 individuals, unduplicated individuals, in the town of Wolfeboro received services totaling over $350,000. That include rental assistance 211, weatherization, transportation, fuel assistance, electric assistance, and of course dental services at our dental clinic in Tamworth. This year we're asking again for level funding in the same amount of $14,436. We understand the struggles that everybody is having, all the towns, and it's been a rough couple of years, so we wanted to stay compliant with all the towns and stay with level funding. We continue to offer services. We do have something new, and I don't see anybody who would be on the committee. We have a mobility manager that is traveling around Carroll County. His name is Scott Bovair. Recently, he just started a new project at the Carroll County Jail where we are teaching inmates a trade, which is bicycle repair. We just recently started and had 2 new graduates actually complete the program. Part of the program is these participants have to have a good record while being incarcerated. They have to be diligent in their studies because they are tested, and be ready for release within 3 months. The 2 that graduated, once they are released, will receive a brand new bike that they have built to provide transportation for them. This is not a service that you're going to see any stats on because we literally just started this about a month and a half ago. It was advertised in the paper, but we have a waiting list for inmates now who want to join the program. There are a lot of bike technician shops that are screaming for help, so what we're trying to do is give them that knowledge and that experience to be able to go and apply to work in bike shops and do the repairs. And this is from little kids' bikes to unicycles to mountain bikes to sports racing bikes. Actually, I'm extremely pleased with how well this is done. And the participation working with the county jail in Carroll County adult education has been phenomenal. We actually are the first in this nation to do this project. And we have people wanting to come and see it. So we're really excited to, sure, you want to come see how it runs? Go on down to Carroll County, we'll show you how to do it. But again, you won't see the stats, unfortunately, because the project is that new. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? No?
Oh, ask at least one. I drove 3 hours to get here.
I can give you a statement.
Okay.
A statement. Richie Klein, who actually has a house on Bay Street in Wolfeboro, does the exact same thing you're doing with the bikes with antique automobiles. He has cars up to $1 million that are completely restored at the Nevada Penitentiary.
Oh, wonderful.
And then sold throughout the country. And those people there, those inmates, learn everything from general mechanics to full restoration of $1 million cars.
And his name is Richard
Richie Klein.
Klein, and he's from Bay Street in Wolfeboro?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's where he has one of his houses.
I think he lives in Las Vegas.
One. Well, I'm not driving that far to go talk to him. I'll
Maybe
get
he
his
can fly
number.
you out in a plane.
You drive a really neat car.
They're driving me.
Right? That would be nice. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Any other questions for me?
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Stay home.
Thank you for coming. Absolutely, thank you for letting me come back. I appreciate it.
We should do this.
It's beautiful out, it's just wonderful. Long way. Thank you.
No, but we should listen to them and ask questions at the same time, so they don't have to come to us. We can see them when they
Okay, let's start on our review of the budget. We'll start at general government. We'll go through each section. If you've got a motion, just raise your hand. I can see you.
I'm sorry, John, I'm in trouble.
I got my Barry Manilow voice.
I need my budget committee hearing aid, so
Okay.
we can tune it up, thanks.
We're gonna start on general government, and then we're just gonna work our way through. And if you've got some additions or subtractions you wanna make, just raise your hand and we'll deal with them. Any questions from the audience? Okay, let's start off.
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
I have a question on overtime, and I reached out to the captain this morning.
Okay, we talking about police?
Yes,
Okay, we'll get to the police department, we can do that.
that's general government though, isn't it?
No,
Nope.
it's under the police
Or-
function.
Oh, sorry, okay, sorry. Okay.
Okay, anyone with general government? Executive,
It's going through, like every 100, 200, 300, or we just have
John, how are you,
just if you've got something you wanna adjust them. please,
Okay,
if you please.
so 381, under executive.
Okay,
So I just want to have a conversation about the cable channel. And I just want to talk about the fact that,
are you gonna do a motion?
I will in a second. Can I
Okay.
talk about it first?
No, you do your
Because
motion
someone else
first.
might,
Do
someone
your
else
motion
might.
first. Do your motion first, we'll get a second. If you don't get the second, then we move on.
Okay, I am going to make a motion to cut $26,493. And the reason I'm making this motion is because I went back and I looked at their 990 and I added up everything that is being offered to the town. And when we take the salaries out of this and we look at it, we're paying $388.88 per hour for
Okay,
their
so let's-
services.
Before we go on, I'll second your motion so we can talk. Go ahead.
Now you can talk about it.
Then you can talk about it, yeah.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
So when I look at their 990 and I went through everything and went through their numbers, and I took all of our meetings in the highest capacity meetings we have. So for us, it's obviously been December, November, December, the planning board, the zoning board, everything that they've covered for our town, parades, everything else, and added it up. At max, it's 270 hours. So when we take that, that's $388.88 per hour that we're fulfilling with them covering our meetings, which I support the cable channel. However, I think what's happening is we're subsidizing some of the programming that's going on to TVs, like the 7 churches they cover and some of the other programs. And I think we have to start looking at the fact that should we be covering the editing and the putting this stuff on television that includes churches and some other things.
Jim, you want to make any comments on that?
This was approved by the Board of Directors of Wolfeboro Community Television. They have been level funded, I believe, for the better part of 6 years, and I believe the director had not received a raise. So this does include the raise for the director, and I believe it also includes a another full-time employee to help them out. That's the rationale behind the increase. Now, the Board of Selectmen did make a cut to this line of $10,000.
Tom?
How do we get to the bottom of what Bobby is alluding to? That we're subsidizing churches and what else did you say? Other nonprofits?
Well,
Are we or aren't we?
yes. I think that the question also needs to be reviewed when you look at the cable franchise fees, which is on page 9. You know, at this point, their actual revenues are not in exceeding of what their actual expenses are. There was a time when that was the case. However, today they do not. And that's because people are no longer using cable services, and as a result, their cable franchise fees are suffering. So, I mean, this is one of those things that they're going to have to figure out a way to reinvent themselves in the future. As far as them the town subsidizing for other programs, other programming, I can't answer that question.
John? Go ahead, Paul.
So, those cable franchise fees, we don't need to do the math, but that includes the spectrum fees in there, Casey? We get
Yes.
fees from
Yes.
Breeze Line, fees from Spectrum. I don't know what the Spectrum fees are, but that's the Brown Ridge Road neighborhood, and 100% of the people in Browns Ridge Road do not get Channel 25 or 26. Don't get it. So they pay a franchise fee, but they don't get the benefit of Channel 25, 26. Here in Wolfeboro proper, if that's no offense to the people in Browns Ridge Road, here in Wolfeboro, Timothy has been for the past 3 to 4 years trying to get more donors, people to give money for programming. He has been sequentially unsuccessful in doing that. And it's not a question of he is a bad person, it's he's not been successful in doing that. So it can be said that what's on there for programming is either community government or whatever else is there, okay? The direction of franchise fees could have gone up. The Board of Selectmen could have increased franchise fees by 1%, because they can go up to 4% or 5%, whatever the number is in the contract. That wasn't done. Who knows? I mean, maybe it was just we didn't want to do that. This model is not a long-term sustainable model. It's an internet model. And, you know, I've spoken to Brad about it. He sits on that committee. I temped on that committee when Brad was out for a while. And the ask we should be making to the town is come up with a new model. And I'm not sure, you know, I don't know where I go with your motion, Bobby, but I park it back at the town and say, come up with a new model in 2024 and address the problem that Tim is having. He's not getting a raise. He's not able to attract new content providers. He's got no Channel 25, 26 over at Browns Ridge Road, and his franchise fees are getting cut because people are cutting the cord and going on the service. That's the reality. And you know, again, I don't know what to your motion, Bobby. I don't know what benefit we give Tim, not to personalize it too much. What benefit he gets by, you know, by getting it done.
It's level funding. It's not cutting him. I'm not cutting him $26,493. I'm just bringing it back to the level funding, which is, if I look, the department had requested $105,000. So why don't we just give what the department had requested?
No, the department head requested the 140 something.
He requested 140.
It says, under your column, department head request 105.
No, that would be the 23 budget. The next column over says.
No, it says 2024 department head request 105.
I remember him requesting 140. It may have been just misplaced.
Can you look at page 8 in your backup?
I'm looking at page 3 right now.
Look at page 8.
I know.
I don't know what you're
I looked
looking
at
at.
page 8.
Okay, we're not gonna
but
go back and forth.
This is what he
Say
requested.
something, you respond, okay?
He requested 141,493.
Right. So that's a typo.
John?
Anything else, Linda?
Yeah, I think one of the other things you have to realize is it is the way that many people see what town government is doing. I live at the end of a dirt road. I use DirecTV. I can go online through the town website and see what's happening. And so I think it's the benefit that the town receives for having its program online, which wouldn't be part of any of the calculations you report. You don't know how many of those people are. And I'm always amazed at the number of people who say to me, I saw you on television.
Can I respond to that?
Okay, anything else?
Can I just respond to that?
Well,
So on average, YouTube, I just logged into YouTube. On average, YouTube carries community television, via the internet. And past 4 meetings, 198 people were watching, 121. So, and we're not able to capture that data of how many people are actually watching community television over channel 25 and 26. We don't have Nielsen available to us. So the argument that we would lose something, I'm not sure is true, but for the sake of the conversation, I would say I'm not keen on cutting it back to level funding. I would say next year we ought to take a hard look at this and see what the plan is to address this long-term issue, which is this asset is moving in the wrong direction for no other reason other than that's the internet. That would be the way I'd look at it.
And I would just like to say it's not a calculation error. The budget was received late, so that's why it looks like the department head gave 105. We just put it in at level funded, but when we got the actual request from the committee, it was for $141,493 as indicated on page 8.
okay. Matt, did you have something? Go ahead.
Yeah, as I recall what Tim said was it's to allow increases in pay for the people that work and do the filming. And I can tell you there's a lot of, all of these meetings are available on YouTube. I watch them on YouTube. But the reason they're available is because someone's here filming. And then it goes back and gets edited. And then it's posted up on YouTube. It's not just on the cable TV. So anyone on Browns Ridge Road can go to YouTube the next day and watch the meeting. Just, I mean, they have access to YouTube just like anyone else. And you can go back in time and watch meetings. You can go months back and see meetings. It's actually nice to have. So I
have a question. So if the default budget happens, what happens to this line item?
Goes back to 105.
Goes back to 105, okay. So as a committee, I think we're at a crossroad where our citizens are looking at our tax rate going up a significant amount, which we all have to continue to talk about the fact that we voted most of that in, so that is not part of this. But are we going to end up on a default budget because we have some items that we should be looking at and looking at seriously?
You getting paid to be here?
Yes.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
I agree.
All right, Jake.
I adore Jake. This is not about Jake. This is about the fact that we are supposed to
No, it was
be,
genuine.
we're supposed to be here for the taxpayers and the citizens.
We moved the
And
question.
Yeah, no, hopefully. Brian, anything?
How far back have they been funded at 105?
As long as your memory.
No, it's gone up over the years, reasonable amount.
What's that?
It's
On
gone up
page-
a reasonable amount every year.
On page 9, you can see the last, including 23, 1, 2, 3, 4 years, they've been at 105, and before that, they were in the 102 to 100,000. I went back to 16. And when we were getting better franchise fees, the town was actually making a profit on the organization. Including 2023, we only gave them 105, yet we took in 117,000 in franchise fees. So the town made a $12,376 profit on the the committee.
Okay, we all set here? Let's move on. The motion is line 3-1 cable channel, decrease that by $26,000. Leanne, can you do a roll call, please?
Yep, Bobby Budman.
Yes.
Bob Pepper.
No.
John McDonald.
No.
Tom Bell.
No.
Bob Mulholland.
No.
Brian Black.
No.
Matt Flash.
No,
Bob Lohman.
No.
Paul O'Brien.
No.
No.
And Brian Disher.
No.
Okay, motion fails. We move on. Page 16, town manager, line 311. The motion to decrease that by $25,000.
I'll second that.
Can we go in order? Can we stay on the executive for a second?
Let's just do my motion real quick, Bobby, okay? We'll go back
Okay,
to
I'm
it.
sorry.
That's okay.
So just for clarity, you said increase 311 by 25,000?
No, decrease.
Decrease, sorry, I'm suffering from a cold also.
What's the basis of that?
Let me tell you, Paul, here, let me find it.
Yeah.
I contacted the New Hampshire Municipal Association. I said, good morning. You folks have any recently done wage and salary studies that you could share with the local community members? Yes, we do. The instructions for how to get to it are this, and in short, our wage and benefit surveys behind the login, which the town should be able to set you up to get into it. So I figured if we can get it for free for the municipal association, then why not do that?
Yeah. So can I ask, motion's on and seconded?
I second it.
Okay, good. So, this is going to bring up a question of, during the year, we visit with the department leadership. And is this a recent discovery, or did this come up during the conversation with Jim when we were going over the budget?
What do you mean a recent discovery?
We're supposed to be visiting with our assigned department folk. And this is a big item, a salary study. And is this, you just found this out recently, or is this a new program by New Hampshire
No,
Municipal?
I just happened to go on the website
Just
and
happened
I
to
saw
go on
that
the
it was in there.
So this got missed during the meetings that
No.
you had with Jim?
No, the
Who's known about
towns,
this?
the towns have always submitted information. However, not everyone is set up the same way. A finance director up in the smallest town in New Hampshire is not doing the same as the finance director in Nashua. So it's hard to come up with a medium and a mean salary. Benefits aren't the same, whether you're a Senate Bill 2 committee, whether you
Right.
have police commissioners. So there's a lot of variables. It's not a very useful tool.
So your
It's
judgment
my
is it's not a
opinion.
useful tool, and your argument is that could be a one-size-fits-all, it's a generic thing? Okay? How do we counter that?
It's the New Hampshire Municipal Association that 238 towns belong to. And I wouldn't think, there's gotta be some way of Wolfboro comparing it to Guilford comparing it to Meredith. There's gotta be a whole different ways to do it. If you wanna go on the webpage, you can look at it, and it has a code for each possible job you could have in the government. And you just look it up. I don't know why we can't do that instead of spending $25,000. If they don't wanna go to that, I'll come in and I'll call the PDs up, the fire station, hey, what's your chief making? Get a comparison.
But
I don't know who does this for $25,000.
But if you did it and asked for assessors, we don't really have an assessor, we have an outside service. So, but yet we have an assessing clerk, right? So it waters down who's doing our assessing. I mean.
But it's a good conversation, at least for me. It's like, we got a resource, we're different. That's really.
No, it's not,
We got
we're
a resource,
different.
We're different.
It's not we're different, there's a whole bunch of, if you dissect down that salary, they've been doing it forever, that salary survey. It gets.
It should come out in books.
Yeah, it used to come out in books, and nice books, and now they stopped doing the books. So you can research. Chief might all be the same. I don't know if it would be, with police commissioner, if it would be different, but it is a tool for you. I'm not sure it was gonna help us come up with better health insurance or.
Does this work for county governments as well?
Counties call other counties and ask.
So there's nothing in the New Hampshire Municipal Association that you can research and reference?
Counties have a different association.
So there's a New Hampshire County Association?
We just have our HR director, we would just have the HR director call the other counties and say, what are you paying? And then you make a list and say, okay, this is where we should be.
Somehow that sounds a little squishy.
Well, and frankly, you
I
want
respect
me
it.
to
Just sounds
extrapolate that data, right? Is that,
What, I don't have a touch any job description, not you.
well, no, you're the one making the motion.
Yeah, I
to
would
cut
hope
this.
you
You would expect me to do this.
Yeah.
So if I come back to you next year and the raises are significant, I would expect support from this committee based on the research that I've done and not be dragged through the ringer because the numbers are high, because the numbers are going to be high.
Right. So you think you can get a better deal by spending 25 grand on someone else?
I think it boils down to the fact of credibility. The fact that a third party is doing it and they are evaluating the job descriptions, the position, and comparing it to communities of similar demographics. I can absolutely do this job. It's not a problem.
John?
But I do not want to be criticized specifically by this committee if the numbers come back and you do not like them.
Well, I'm not gonna promise you that.
I know you're not.
So,
John?
yes.
If a consultant does it, it would seem to me that they would provide a report that provided, would explain the basis for the recommendation they're making.
Sure.
Would say, we're looking at this town, this town. And I would think that anyone making those recommendations, based on where other towns are and what they're paying, is going to do a similar report. It's going to come up with similar numbers.
It's like hiring MRI just to give you the generic bland report.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
That's not a good-
$2,500.
That's not a good idea.
And if we're looking to make cuts, it seems to me that this is low-hanging fruit. This is something that we don't really have to do, because it can be done another way.
John?
Do we have to do it within the contract?
John?
You can always come back, Jim. You wanna call them up tomorrow and talk to them down there, see if that doesn't fill your needs? You come back to us and tell us why it doesn't work for you.
No, I don't want to waste the effort, to be frank with you. So, go
Okay,
ahead.
so you consider this a waste of effort? Or just this particular topic? This is a waste of effort? The salary, the 25,000?
No, if this budget committee is going to cut it, then cut it.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, can I speak to it?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna use the word waste of effort, because that's inflammatory, but a last minute, boom, I just called somebody today and found out this new information, I want to cut your budget. I find that to be troubling. That's what I thought. If this was important to us, we would have said right up front, that thing looks like it's got a little fuzz on it, let's go research it. So I'm troubled by that. Now, I'm not being, John, take it for what it's worth. That to me sounds like a last minute, and that I'm a little troubled with. I'm not going to support the motion.
John?
Yeah.
Could I respond to Paul?
Yeah.
Sure.
That's why we're here tonight, to do our final look at the budget and make these cuts. Things that didn't get cut before. I mean, that's the point of this meeting, otherwise let's not have the meeting if we're just gonna say, oh, it's too late to cut anything.
No, so I'll push back to you. We're supposed to be, I think, we're supposed to be crawling around on these numbers. Let me give you an example. This is the town's analysis of our budget. Use this this is the town's analysis. This is our analysis. And this was given to us in the summertime. We haven't done any other analysis. So I thought that our job was to go around and meet with people and figure out what the priorities needed to be. One is a salary thing, the other is going to be, increasing our assessing, and to say that doesn't make sense, could we research it? And then have a conversation here where we could have a final discussion. I didn't see that as a final discussion to that. I see that as let me tell you what I just found. So I'm not going to support the motion.
Okay, anyone else? Brian?
Jim, is the expectation that a report from an outside consultant is going to come back with recommendations?
I think it is. So the last time this was done was in 2016. The report was completed. There was some good information in that. They reviewed job descriptions. There are some job descriptions that I think are not contemporary with that model. This study will set us up for union negotiations this coming fall, so that we can hopefully get a 2 or 3 year contract with the collective bargaining agreements, and take care of the job descriptions so that we can definitely hold our staff to the jobs that they are doing based on job description. Because there are some right now that there are a lot of questions about.
So this is, oh, go ahead, Brian.
No, and John, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming the information from the municipal association would be more aligned towards raw data from the individual towns, not anything that's going to be customized for the town of Wolfeboro and with an eye towards negotiating contracts down the road.
I can only tell you what I told you from the email, what I asked and what they replied.
I wonder if, we would be, benefit the town more to do a more customized and detailed analysis of where we're at and with recommendations, than saving just $25,000, off the bottom line.
This is the first I've heard about doing job descriptions. I didn't realize I was going to be part of it.
I asked that question when we had the executive budget under review. I asked Jim, are you going to do job descriptions? And the answer was, yes, we are.
I apologize.
No, it's all right. No, I just wanted to make sure we
Thank you
clear up
for
the
bringing my
record.
attention. I appreciate
That's all.
that.
So may I say something?
Go ahead, Bobby.
John, I'm not going to support this, and here's why. Because I spent significant time through our budget season contacting other towns and contacting cities about some of the salaries. That seemed very bloated to me. So I actually think we're going to find out with this consultation that we have quite a few salaries within our ranks that are actually bloated.
Well, that's a value judgment statement. Maybe, maybe not.
I'll present tonight.
Can I have one more, John?
Yeah.
So I just did a www.newhampshiremunicipal.org look up salary stuff. And front page, the town of Newmarket is seeking proposals, this is the salary page. Town of Newmarket is seeking proposals from qualified consulting firms experienced in the review and analysis of salary and overall compensation systems. So we got a town on NHMA in the, where you can find the salary stuff, launching an RFP request, getting compensation study RFPs.
And they're about the same size as Wolfboro too, aren't they? That's great. Okay, anything else?
Jim, I got one question for you. The last review was done in
16.
Who was the town manager at the time?
David Owen.
Do you know, or does anybody who's been here since 2016 know, was that study a good study? Did we find out good information from it?
So I would say, in my opinion, the study was only as good as the effort put in by the department head at the time.
Okay.
I was brand new fire chief at the time. We went through all of our job descriptions thoroughly with the staff, and I think we made some substantial changes to those job descriptions at that time. I heard other department heads complain that they didn't feel that the job descriptions were adequate, but I also believe that those department heads may have not put the effort forth to get the job descriptions to a position where they needed them to be able to manage their departments appropriately.
Now, Linda was here too.
Yeah, and I think what I found most useful is that they might do an administrative assistant, and we have a range in which the administrative assistant salaries were in, and we could look where we were in the range, and as I recall, we had some salaries that were low, and we did that, implemented those salary increases over 2 years in the different areas. But it's not like they give you one amount, say that's for your administrative assistant. It gives you a range and shows you where you are. You know, it's probably a 30, 40-page document without the, the job descriptions in it. I found it as a selectman gave me a real good way of looking at whether we were where we needed it to be for salaries.
John, one question.
Go ahead.
For the town manager. Jim? Now, I think you've already answered it, but for my own head, townwide wage and benefit studies, that also include a look-see at the job description structures?
Yes, the exclusion would be the electric department. The electric department is satisfied with where they're at. They had an independent study done, so they're satisfied with
So
where they're at.
that would be part of the recommendations in terms of job description changes or modifications, whatever.
And that would be from input from department head and evaluating to other professional standards.
Okay, thanks.
John?
Go ahead.
So we would include a look at the police department and the fire department
Yep,
and job descriptions there?
yep.
And the library, who's independent, but they also
They
wanted,
want him.
they want it in also.
Is that gonna be part of that administrative fee for like the water department and sewer for their job descriptions? Shouldn't they be paying back the town for that? To have their job descriptions checked and everything?
I guess there could be.
But wouldn't that come out of the administrative allocation?
That's what I just asked them.
Yeah, we usually,
It's not factored in at this time.
we do not put one-time items in.
A one-timer? I doubt it, it's 25 grand across the 4 departments.
Yes, sir.
I'm just, is this something that the police department wants as well? We don't have people in the town, in the department that understand job descriptions for what they're doing?
I believe they do.
And the fire department?
It's for
I'm not sure I
nego-
understand the question, to be honest.
it's for negotiate, it's not just job descriptions. They might have some solid job descriptions, but it's for negotiations, it's for salaries, it's for benefits, which could benefit everybody, including the town side.
That's a different issue. That's paying, that's paying benefits, not job description.
That's what, this is wage benefit, which includes job description. That's what this study is, all three.
I have a question. Last time, we didn't do all job descriptions. There were specific job descriptions that we did in the last study. So I don't, are you looking at doing?
I think it was all of them, Linda, with the exception of the electric department.
I didn't think we had all new job descriptions on every place, but I could be wrong.
Well, that might get to your point, Jim, that not everybody did total due diligence like you did in the fire department. So,
I was a new guy at the time, worked with staff, we came up with updated descriptions.
Everybody else might not,
people in our HR department, 1.5.
so or some others might not.
Move the question, please.
Cap.
Anything else from anybody? Okay, this will be roll call vote. The motion is to decrease town manager, page 61, by $25,000.
Line 311.
Yeah, 311, sorry, thank you.
Page 16.
All right, Bobby Budman,
No.
Bob Tupper,
No.
Tom McDonald.
Yes?
Tom Bell,
No.
Bob Mulholland,
No.
Brian Black,
No.
Matt Flash,
Yes.
Bob Lohman,
No.
Paul O'Brien,
No.
and Brian DeShields.
No.
So 2-8.
John, may we go back to page 4?
Motion fails. Where do you want to go, Bonnie?
Back to page 4. Before we move on to town manager, I'd like to stay back on executive. I'd like to make a motion to cut line 870 by $11,100 to put it back to level funding,
That's the milfoil treatment.
milfoil treatment.
Is there any second to Bonnie's motion?
Seconded.
Any discussion?
Basis for that?
Why?
So the reason why I feel is I know that I personally have worked for a nonprofit in the watershed, and I know that that is something that we can do with a nonprofit partnership, that if we are willing to work with Wentworth Watershed and Winnipesaukee, if we can get some funding to help us with the milfoil treatment, I think that that's an area that we should explore more, the private public nonprofit.
Linda, you're part of that group, aren't you?
I am. You know, my feeling is that I took a good-sized cut on it because we have still some money left over from the joint board dissolving that we'll put towards this. Last year, we got 50% from the state. The town of Wolfeboro, the Wentworth Watershed Association used to pay for it. They came to us asking for help, and we have done that. This is for Back Bay. It's not for that. You know, we have struggled to keep Back Bay under control. We just hand-pulled for the last 3 or 4 years. It's out of control. We had a recommendation from DES to do a full bay chemical treatment this year, and that's what we put before you. And we're going to use what we have in a capital reserve account.
Do we have a grant coming in for part of this, a significant part
I
of
do
this?
not know at this point.
Okay.
We haven't been awarded it. Last year, the state paid 50% of it. But at this point, I couldn't tell you. They've been as low as 20 and been as high as 50. It depends upon how much funds the state has. But we always apply for a grant.
John, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Linda, there was a Back Bay-wide, for lack of a better term, NUCIT program like 3-4 years ago.
Correct.
It didn't stick, or did it stick?
It stuck better than 2,4-D did. Per cell.
So are we in a cycle now of every, I want to say, handful of years?
It seems
We're going to
that
have
way.
to do a full complement treatment and then pulling the stuff out in those intervening years?
Correct. That has been the pattern that we have been experiencing.
You know, the challenge is that stuff finds its way out into the propeller of the Mount Washington and gets spun around, and all of a sudden it's all over the place.
The difference is that Back Bay is sawdust. We went through probably 10 to 15 years ago through the docks, the town docks, and we sent a diver there for 3 days, and he removed all the milfoil from that area. It hasn't come back. We haven't had to go back out there and do that kind of hand pulling. We're trying to control it in Back Bay, and Back Bay is tough. The roots go down, you lose just a little piece, and it can seed itself. It helps stop it from being put back into Wentworth. Right
Again.
now, there's nothing in Russ Pond,
Again, I
but I think
completely
it is a way for us to control milfoil for more than just Back Bay.
So just because I know that we both Wentworth Watershed Association, I was there for the startup of it for the first 18 months. I know that I have seen the nonprofits be able to use those pullers and people getting in there and pulling the milfoil, and having that nonprofit partnership, we've gotten a lot done. And I just think when we rely too much on not having that partnership, it actually goes the other way when we don't get people involved. And when we just throw chemicals in, we're not getting the same thing. You know that hand pulling it makes a bigger difference. The dash boat makes a bigger difference.
We don't have what Wentworth has. Wentworth has dedicated volunteers who have been there, who helped start the milfoil committee well before the Watershed Association was created. It was back when you had the foundation and you had the association. You know, what we will lose is we'll start losing control. And somewhere down the line, we're going to have to come in or have milfoil keep on going. It just keeps on growing. So.
Question? Linda, do you feel?
I mean, hold on. Ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said, pardon? Go ahead, John.
I mean, Back Bay is in our backyard. Are you thinking that we're being treated unfairly in the spend and not getting enough cooperation from
Yes, I think
others?
our nonprofits aren't stepping up for the Back Bay. I mean, we have the nonprofits stepping up and doing the time. Obviously, on Lake Wentworth, we have the people who dive every weekend, every Sunday. They dive and they pull milfoil. But we're not asking that of the other parts of our lake and our community? And is there a point where we have to say, we need Lakewood and Pisaki to step up and help with this problem? Because I'm just wondering if this is the point where we're throwing money at something and we're chemically treating something that is going to be coming back with a vengeance and keep coming back if we keep handling it that way instead of diving down and pulling it. And you know this conversation for both of us.
I
kills
absolutely
me.
do, and I think you have to look at the difference in the amount of time that the Wentworth Watershed or the
Yep.
Wentworth Association and the foundation has been doing and dealing with this. And that the Winnipesaukee has X number of towns, less money, less of an association and foundation behind it. So, you know, you guys got to decide. If this is one of the places you want to cut, you know, more than what's there right now, we will not be able to do a chemical treatment, and we're going to be more and more in this cycle. We did an experiment with hand pulling. We did a square before we ever started. And we went through and we had Tom Waxsmith from Winnipesaukee. He went in, we cleared the whole thing. And we say, okay, we got it. 3 weeks later, looked like we weren't there. The only way really to control it, and I would love not to use chemicals, I'll tell you that, is that periodically, in order to keep it under control, you have to hit it with chemicals, and then we come back and try to go as long as we can by hand pulling. So I think I've said enough. You know, you're just going to have to decide what.
So I'm not saying get rid of this. I'm saying we level fund it.
Okay, anything else? Do a roll call vote. Motion is reduced from $870 to $23,400.
Bobby Budman,
Yes.
Bob Fisher,
No.
John McDonald.
No.
Tom Bell,
No.
Bob O'Holland,
No.
Brian Black,
No.
Matt Flash,
No.
Bob Lohman,
No.
and Paul O'Brien,
Nope.
and Brian DeShays.
No.
190.
Motion
Fails.
fails.
Could I just add something, Bill?
What's that?
This conversation was good. Next year, it might be fun to put this back on the table and say, hey, was there any progress made by getting more hands involved in this thing, and see what the answer is.
I think just comparing the results of Back Bay and Lake Wentworth, I mean, they're just two completely different bodies of water.
One feeding the other.
Back Bay gets so much more traffic and is probably so much more vulnerable to the spread of
Well,
North.
Wentworth didn't have a lumberyard.
Right, right.
Okay, guys, let's move on. What else do we have?
Anything else in there?
Let me skip my next one. So can we go back to page 16?
What page,
Town
Bobby?
manager.
Page 16?
16. Sure.
Could we define what department we're talking about?
Town manager.
Town manager.
Town manager.
Now we're back on town manager.
Thank you.
I'd like to discuss line 113.
What's your motion?
My motion is that we cut this line by $4,666, level fund the line, and may I say why? So as we started discussing about...
Second, to get the conversation.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Thank you. So as we talk about salaries, and this is not personal, Jim, in any way, I did spend a significant amount of time looking at salaries, and one of them was looking at the average salaries for town managers throughout our state. The average salary is $87,873. Most of the salary range falls between $77,000 and $98,000. I went through and pulled up first on the internet to see what those salaries are, but then verified by calling these towns. Nashua pays $114, Dover pays $111, Portsmouth pays $110, Manchester pays $108, Rochester pays $119, and Somersworth pays $115. In 2019, our salary for town manager was $79,000. We are looking at bumping that to $125. So I'd like to bring that back to level funding.
I'm going to speak against that because we're going to do a wage study this year where we should be able to get an accurate amount rather than calling up the local towns using other resources.
I didn't hear the second part of it. We're going to do a wage study. That makes sense, rather than what, John?
doing what Bobby did by calling other towns and asking how much their town manager makes.
Well, you were gonna do that, but you were gonna call around too. You volunteered to come in and call
I said, come
people.
in and do it, yeah.
But we shot that motion.
Yeah, you did. So I'm going on board with the analysis.
Okay.
Let's go with the wage study. Any other discussion?
Well, I just think this brings up the reason why we should do the wage study. You know, every town has its own complexion, its own thing. And this town of Wolfeboro is sitting on an asset base of over $2 billion. More than 2 billion, Bob?
Next year, probably over 3.
Over 3 if we do the reevaluation. So we got a $3 billion asset base. You know, in the past 5 years, we've appropriated almost $500 million in revenues, whether it's bonds or taxes. Well, it's not a small town anymore. It's a big town, a lot of moving parts. In other towns, you have police commissions and public safety commissions, which are separated from town, you know, in some way. So I'm fully keen on doing the wage study, and I'm not fully keen on doing anything with the line item at this moment.
John, am I correct that this committee doesn't take off of salary lines, but takes it off of the bottom line of that budget?
Yep.
Because
No,
it's really
we only do that in the police department. We take the
But-
bottom line off the police department.
Yeah, but I think also that it's the Board of Selectmen have control over the town manager's salary, and I thought.
Well, you have an MOU, don't you?
we
You have an MOU,
We had an MOU.
which reflects, this is the agreed upon salary, right?
We raise it each year. We have the original MOU. We don't rewrite it each year. We just add a percentage to that, but how we operate is all there in the MOU.
It's all part of it. Whatever the salary is in here is what he should be getting
My
paid.
raise is based on their evaluation of me,
Okay.
based on the employment agreement.
Yeah.
But the
Okay.
budget committee can cut the line item, doesn't.
I thought they could cut the
No,
bottom
but
line.
it does not force you to do anything.
Okay. I thought they had cut the bottom line. That's one way, brought up, they can do it whatever.
Okay, anything else?
I just wanted to ask Bobby 2 questions. One, was it town managers or town administrators, because they are different?
Town managers.
And you called them direct?
About mayors. So I compared it to mayors too.
Okay.
What mayors were doing in a couple of the towns.
And just out of curiosity, where did you get the numbers from for the average town manager?
So I originally started on the internet and then I called.
What site on the internet? Just curious.
I don't know. I did this through the fall while we were doing budget season. And then I actually individually called to make sure those were really the fiscal numbers on these numbers to see if they were accurate.
Good for you. Good for you.
Anything else? The motion is to return the town manager's salary to the 2023 amount. Roll call vote, please.
Bobby Budman?
Yes.
Bob Tupper?
No.
John McDonald?
No.
Tom Bell?
No.
Bob Mulholland?
No.
Brian Black?
No.
Matt Flash?
No,
Bob Lohman?
No.
Paul O'Brien?
No.
And Brian DeShaves?
No.
1 fails, 190.
Okay, motion fails. Anything else in general government? Bobby?
Anything else?
Not in that section.
No, John.
Okay, let's move on.
But we have another section.
Anything in agencies?
You skipped town clerk. Page 20.
That's all part of general government. I'm gonna go through the whole section. Let's go.
Page
What else do
20.
we have? Page 20, okay. Go ahead.
I'm going to go back to line 113 and talk about supervisor salary. We're going to talk about town clerk's wage, average wage in the state, $59,860. Again, went through the towns. Average, in 2018, our town clerk made $59,860. We're about to increase it to $74,362. The average in the state is $44,000. Again, we're about to increase it to $74,362. Rochester pays 54, Somersworth 51, Nashua 50, Dover 48, Portsmouth 47, Laconia 47. We are over $30K more. I'd like to make a motion to level fund that. which just takes out $2,714.
John?
You want the salary to be 71,648?
Level fund,
Yes.
yep, 71,600.
I'll second it to
Okay.
get the discussion going.
John?
Yes.
Just for context, in 2019, the Budget Committee raised the town clerk's salary by 10%. Motion was made by, I think, Bob Tuffer, seconded by John McDonald, and voted that 10% went swimmingly through. Just for historic context.
And two others,
And two others.
the director
We
of
were
the
sitting on the other
library
end of the TV having a stroke.
and the tax receiver.
That's right.
Brenda Lapointe.
Brenda Lapointe, that's right.
Tax collector, library director, and
Right,
town clerk.
right.
Right.
And part of my reasoning for that, Paul, was Jim had given us a list of all of the employees, all of the staff supervisors and their salaries. And it was quite obvious to me that the female directors were making considerably less than the male directors. And I thought that that should be corrected.
Should catch him up.
And I did my 2 cents in trying to get it through. And John McDonald helped me out.
Yeah.
That's it, John.
Bob?
At the risk of short-stopping Ms. Bludman, if we're gonna have some more supervisory salary analysis department by department, I make a motion that those things be tabled and we use the salary study that has been approved by this committee to accomplish the very same thing.
So are you gonna give the people the raises or no raises?
All I'm saying is, the salary study that is proposed is a townwide exercise.
No, she's dealing with the raises going from 2023 to 2024. If you want to depend on the study, then these folks won't get their raises.
Understand? Yeah. Understand. Take back what I said.
Paul, talk to him, okay?
No, I think, no, but that logic came through pretty loud and clear, but you had to kind of walk it around a little bit. So if Ms. Budman's motion fails, then the salary adjustment goes through. If her motion prevails, then it's level funded. This gentleman could come back and say, let's undo all of that and wait for the salary treatment, which could effectively mean every person in the town potentially could get no salary adjustment unless they're in a bargain for organization.
Yeah.
And I would just
Or
add,
contracted for.
I would just add that if we do land on a default budget,
It's gonna happen anyway.
it's gonna happen
Right, I
anyways.
got it. No, I understand.
So we can help not land on a default budget here, or we can do nothing and potentially have the citizens vote for that default budget.
But,
And then we potentially harm our ambulance and a bunch of other things.
yeah, if I, John?
Yeah.
I vividly remember us having the, oh my God, you can't touch the 100, 200 miles. Remember that conversation? And then this past year, we found out we could do that. I'm not concerned about $2,700 for an individual. I'm concerned about $500,000 of a business plan miss. That's what I get concerned about. I get concerned about that kind of stuff. $2,700 to me, and I'm not trying to diminish what you're doing, Bobby. I think it's great research, but I'm just not. I can't support it.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, the motion is to reduce the line 113 back down to $71,648. Lean, could you roll call, please?
Bobby Buckland.
Yes.
Bob Pepper.
No.
John McDonald.
No.
Tom Bell.
No.
Bob Mulholland.
No.
Brian Black.
No.
Matt Flash.
No.
Bob Lohman.
No.
Paul.
No.
Brian DeShazer.
No.
Fails 190.
Okay. Well,
I have two more in there.
Okay, we'll check.
I would like to combine them. Line item 117 and 380 when we were in prior discussions, we were told outside services for our supervisors of the checklist had been moved to part-time wages. Now, when I look at part-time wages, that went up from 3,600 to the 14,400, and I look at outside services, went down, which by the select board, down to 4,000, but from that 65, we're talking about not that $2,500. When we look at going from the funding of 2,500 to 14,400. So I'd like to move we reduce that line by $8,500.
Which one?
Line item 117.
Is there a second?
Sure.
What was that number, Bobby? 8,000?
So what happened was when we went through this budget, we were told item number 380, line item 380, outside services, was moved up to part-time wages. But if you look at the amount that would have been moved, it should have been about $2,500. Yet line item 117 has gone up from 25 to 14,400, which it should have only gone up the 2,500 of moving the supervisor of the
That's
checklist.
the election.
It is, if I may, it is the 5 elections that are budgeted in
Yeah.
'24. You're
Which
comparing
was
it against
clearly stated.
three elections that are in '23. So you can't compare. The 117 line item's gonna go up no matter what we moved around. It is true, we did move the 380 down,
Yeah.
but we had to increase the 117 for the 2 extra elections.
Extra.
Yes.
So we do this every 4 years.
Right, you're comparing '23 and '24.
So you can't even do a 5-year comparison. I mean, it's just a unique thing, right?
Yeah, you have to go every 4 years.
Every once in a while.
Okay, anything else? The motion is to,
I will remove my motion on that.
I'll second that.
okay, move on. Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
So I'm going to go right to reevaluation, probably outside services, line 380.
What page?
Yeah, assessing.
Part of general revenue.
Page
Say that.
33?
Yeah, page 33.
Page 33, revalid property, Department 41520, for those who are following electronic.
We got 24 first.
Wait, yeah, can
200,000?
we go in order?
It's all general government, it's all one packet.
Yeah. So what's your motion, Bob, to reduce line 380 by 200,000?
Correct, and the rationale behind that, I
Is there a
believe is
second?
Wait, we need to know, I'm sorry, the page we're on now?
33.
I'll second.
33. Moving around.
Can I just edit it? You've already increased it to 212.
Right.
Correct.
Reduce it to 0 then.
So your motion changes from 212 to whatever it is you think it should be.
John, does Bobby have something before that revaluation?
Well, we're just gonna do what we're doing now, then we'll go over to Bobby
Okay,
again.
okay.
Trying to mix it up a little bit. Who was the second on the 212?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Whatever you're gonna.
Matt. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the rationale, I believe this is year 3? 4? We gotta do it every 5. So there's no penalty to push us off. The rationale is, do we want to do this, charge the taxpayers $200,000, raise their property value, and that's going to happen. We know that's going to happen. So we're going to really hit them. Do we really want to do that? We don't have to. We do have time to do this. That's the thing. I know someone's going to argue that someone's taxes are going to go down, but someone's is going to go up. We know that. We all know that. So here's the big question. I'm going to lay it out here. Do we zero that line out? That's my, and push it off a year and not hit the taxpayers with this year, this coming year?
John?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to add to that, with what's been going on with prices of housing, I think we'd be better off letting things settle down for a year and then coming back and looking at it a year later, because I don't know that some of these prices are going to stay the way they are, especially at some of the lower cost houses. Additionally, my understanding is there was only one party that was even available to do this assessment.
That's right.
Because a lot of other towns are doing it this year, and we could end up with more bidders next year to choose from if everyone isn't so busy next year, or the following year.
Okay, anyone want to speak in favor of it?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, Bob.
Okay. I believe if this motion passes, it is a violation of New Hampshire state law, specifically RSA 75:8A. That states that every municipality must do a revaluation at least every 5 years, not every 5 years. Ossipee did a revaluation in 2019. They did another one this past year, 2023, 4 years apart, twice, 2015, 2019, 2023. Ossapee's not a rich town. They really don't need to spend this money, but they're doing what they were told to do under the law. The handbook that I referenced on our town website directs an assessor and anybody who's interested in reading it in how to implement a revaluation under the law. I believe DRA told you that they want this done in 2024, is that correct?
The ratios came back indicating that we should perform a revaluation. I will sit here and say that we have had a conversation with legal on this matter. If we go to default budget, the revaluation comes out.
Right. Did you have any conversation regarding what I'm saying, that this is the law? You did not. Did they direct us to do this? Where do we get the
ratio?
The ratio, 60%, 58%,
Get
whatever
that
it
for
is.
summertime, right? Get that in the early summer, something like that.
2% off.
Now, I'm one of the people that stands to hurt by this if the revaluation is done. However, I thought that the assessor did a terrible job in 2020. I indicated that here at one of our meetings, and I sent that my complaints in writing to Jim Pinio in 2 letters. I think he did not do a good job, and when the pandemic hit and all these prices popped up, it made it worse. That's why I think we need to get on top of this now, not push it out a year. And as far as the prices coming down and these things going away, it's not going to happen. Matt, it's not going to happen. This is
Well,
going to
I'm
keep
not saying
going.
prices are gonna come down, I'm saying they're gonna equalize, and we're gonna get some time in.
So the handbook says we got to be between 90% and 110% of true market value. We are at 58% now, 60, 58, somewhere around there.
68, something.
Yeah, we're
In the 50s.
well below that. And the last thing I'm going to say, John, is if this motion passes, I'll be on the phone with DRA first thing tomorrow morning.
Right.
That's it.
To do what?
To find out if we're violating the law, like I just said.
Bob?
I just have a problem with us doing an evaluation, and I think it kind of goes along with what Bob is talking about and why he made this motion. I have a real concern about the effect this is going to have on the property owners. We've got roughly a 9, which is going to end up being a 9.9% or maybe even a 10% budget increase for this budget we're talking about right now. We had 11% last year. So if we come in, let's say, at 9%, and we don't do an evaluation, we're going to hit the property owners with a 9% increase on their property taxes. Now we're talking about adding to that in the December bill of 2024, a reevaluation number that is going to run their property tax bill up way up over 9%. And I don't think we're doing the taxpayers of this town the proper service. We ought to be a little more careful about what we're doing in terms of the budget increase that we're looking at being hit again with a reevaluation on top of it coming up in December of 2024, because the valuation numbers and the new tax rate is what's gonna be the number that the property owners are gonna be paying, and it's gonna be a real shocker.
John, I want to respond to that.
I'm reformed.
Go ahead. Bob.
The tax rate will come down in similar fashion. So if we go up 30%, the tax rate itself will come down about 30%. But the revaluation will define who gets hurt and who doesn't get hurt. But the point of the revaluation, which came out of this 75, it actually came out of the Claremont decision 30 years ago. And that's why it must be done. So the tax rate, to say that the tax rate's going to get much worse is not true. The tax rate will come down a similar amount as the hike in the assessed value of the town. Now, Moulton Borough is assessed at about 6.5 billion right now, and Wakefield's assessment just doubled from 1.1 mil to 2.2 mil.
Bill.
Every town is doing it. Bill, sorry. Thank you.
Paul, do you have something?
I'm not concerned about what everybody else is doing. I'm concerned about what we're doing. So don't use that as an argument, please.
But it's comparative. I mean, it's okay. It's a comparison. You can do that. So this reevaluation is, it's a pay me now, pay me later, as I look at it. And someone's going to get a benefit and someone's going to it's going to happen. My question, though, is, and I don't know the answer to this. I should have asked earlier, and I didn't. But is it possible that we could take the building permits over the past handful of years that we've issued out, do a reevaluation of the consequence of those building permits, and then use that as the basis to do a reevaluation of the entire town? I don't know the answer. Do you know the answer to that?
Yeah, the answer is...
You know the answer to that?
Yes, I do know the answer. The answer is surrounding price sales, home sales. That's how you come up with a true value.
And DRA dictates how it's done.
So DRA has a formula? 'Cause I don't know. There's a formula you have to follow?
Yeah, they have a form. They have to fill out and do it in a certain manner, so they're all the same.
So I stand corrected. So then you know, my feeling is either you do it now, you do it next year, because you're still in the window.
Well, our assessor's office is in touch with the DRA all the time. She consistently reports prior home sales or previous home sales to them, and they calculate where we are in terms of percentage of assessed value to full market value, and then they come up with this law that says you got to do this at least every 5 years, at the most every 5 years, and sooner if it needs to be done.
Well, I think the alarm bell went off when we saw the, whatever, 50. I saw 60.
Right.
I saw the 60, and I went,
Right.
"No, that's
It's no later than 5 years.
Jim, when you
No later.
when you at least when would you do this?
But no earlier. You
They
don't
will
have
start
to.
it, they will start it this spring.
This spring? When will they be done?
We're hopeful for October, but I think it's going to be pushing it for them to have it complete for October 1. I think it's going to be a real challenge.
That's pay me now, pay me later.
Under the statute, is a time frame that has to be done. Can you take someone, do half the town in 6 months? They
So
come
we
back
do
to
that.
the other half?
We do that annually anyways. Every year, if you look in the assessing budget, you'll see assessing pickups, 40,000. That's for the cyclical pickups or the cyclical data collection. So every year, we do a quarter of the town anyways. And that was removed from the budget in favor of going through and doing a full town evaluation. So if this committee so decides that they think that this $212,000 should come out, if they want to operate correctly, they really need to add in that $40,880 so that we can continue to do the cyclical. On top of that, they also perform pickups based on building permits, which are issued through the building department and are tied into the tax cards.
So, if I may.
Yeah.
So for all intents and purposes, the $200,000 really net is somewhere around 150. 160. Roughly.
Bobby?
So I just have a question about consequences. because we're talking about the DRA here. And is this gonna affect our bond rate if we do not comply with reaching that 90% by not evaluating this? Do we have, is there a consequence for this?
I don't know what it would be.
Right.
When do we start paying on the building next door? Is that coming up
We are.
next year?
We are,
Second part will come next year.
second part next year.
Big
Part of
one.
it, big part of it
Big
comes
one.
up.
Well, what
No,
is
the
that?
other half.
The other half.
I took out a loan for 7 million. I'm gonna be taking out the another 6, 7, 8 million this year.
There are also,
We're
there-
gonna get hit
Again, yes.
again.
Your debt is increasing.
In my mind, doesn't it make sense to have a somewhat current assessment of the property values done in anticipation of those big payments that are coming up?
there are also other remedies. 20 years ago, the town of Tuftonboro had a town-wide reevaluation, and I actually filed a petition against the town of Tuftonboro to the state of New Hampshire because I thought that they had made some glaring errors in the way they were evaluating especially waterfront communities and other properties. I ended up prevailing in that case, and the town of Tuftonboro ended up granting more, what's the word? Abatements for properties to reduce taxes than any other year they had ever done that before. So there are other remedies to this. And as I said, things are gonna equalize. They're not, it's not everything's gonna go up by, 45% because your value goes up 45%.
This is a pay me now, pay me later. And I'm compelled by Mr. Black's comment of, wouldn't it not be a bad idea to have a contemporary perspective on what we're dealing with? 150
Anything
net,
else?
160 net, whatever it is, right?
Okay, the motion is to reduce
380 in the revaluation.
380 outside services to 0 from 212,000.
Bobby Budman,
No.
Bob Tuffer,
No,
John McDonald,
No.
Tom Bell,
No.
Paul Mulholland,
Yes.
Brian Black,
No.
Matt Flesch,
Yes.
Bob Lohman,
No.
Paul O'Brien,
No.
and Brian Shays.
No.
So 190.
Motion fails.
Oh wait, there's two. Sorry. 280. Sorry. But it fails, yes.
Thank you. Okay, Bobby, where did you want to go?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to page 28, and I know this is gonna be ultimately very confusing, so I'm gonna try and not to make it too confusing. But I wanna go right to the line of 550 and printing.
Tax
So
collector.
page 28, 550.
What?
If they're in the electric book, they don't
I'm
know
on
what
page
department.
28 in tax collector.
Thank you.
I'm trying to go in order. So when I look at the printing, and we look at 550, we go to the backup, we have the tax collector printing bills for water, sewer, electric bills, and the e-bills for water and sewer. And I'm just wondering if that amount, what is it? Sorry, I have like 15 things on this page.
Administrative allocation.
What is it, 550?
It's in the administrative allocation, Bobby.
Say that again?
It's in the administrative allocation. We take a lot of what's in the tax collector and we break it out to water, sewer, electric, based on the number of bills that they mail and collect on.
So you're offsetting this with a journal entry, with an entry that you're paying back those funds?
Yeah, they kind of, like, we don't bill and collect, but I charge them each an allocation that is in
Okay,
every.
because we're asking the people who don't have water service to pay for the bills, right, the printing. for water right now.
No.
So I'm not quite sure why that's allocated in the tax.
Because
collector.
the tax collector does water billing, water, sewer, electric billing and collection. That is her job. She's just not the tax collector. So in her function, she also collects and bills for all utilities. There's a function called admin allocation where we take all of that, some IT, some of me,
Okay.
some of Jim, and we spread it out to those enterprise funds.
The electric enterprise fund alone, the administrative allocation is $486,000,
They're picking on Barry.
which comes to the
You
town.
always pick on Barry.
Okay, there was no second, so that fails. Go ahead, Bonnie.
I didn't make a motion, I just was asking on, I wanted to understand that, why we're paying, why we have people who aren't on those services paying for them. And then I had I'm gonna skip that, because it's just gonna be a no, I'm not gonna point it out. And then, that's just gonna be a no, that's just gonna be a no, it's not worth wasting people's time. Okay, I'm good.
You okay?
Yep. In
Nothing
that
else in
section.
general government? Anyone else with anything in general government? Okay, agencies,
Hold on.
General government.
I just have one other question. I want to go to health officer on page 44. I don't have a problem with the amount. I'm just curious why we have the salary set at, why we upped it from 45 to the 98 instead of increasing the hours, when the average New Hampshire salary is around that 45. I'm just not understanding, because when someone else comes in, if we were setting a precedent with that 98 instead of keeping it at 45. So I'm just wondering about that, if we ever have to blow that job up, say there's COVID or something again and the hours increase.
So the Board of Selectmen, I think 4 years ago, because there was no increase this year, made a
Yeah.
3-year contract, or a 3-year agreement. I don't believe there was a contract to increase those rates. The Board of Selectmen can set the salaries, so just if one of those positions was to turn over, there's not necessarily a guarantee for that next person to get that amount. It's just what's in the budget.
oh, is that with that, Bobby?
Yeah, I think it's something to watch. Yep, thank
Anything
you.
else? Okay, that's agencies.
That includes welfare, John?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All set there, okay. Move on to, planning and zoning.
I'm not gonna make a motion, John, we're gonna make a statement about planning and zoning.
Let's get a motion first. Anyone want to make any motions on this planning and zoning? What did you want to say, Paul?
I don't understand why we spend the amount of money we're spending on lawyers in planning and zoning. That wasn't up on the budget. It makes no sense. The applicant spends the money on the lawyers. If we need people who have to learn how to do planning and zoning, well, let's teach them. But let's not spend more money on lawyers. That's just my advice to the town.
Okay, anything else on that? Planning and zoning.
He's American.
You do. He's not
Surrounded
saying
with
it,
people
it's
who are married
not.
to lawyers.
I'm looking at this
Paul, where are the big legal fees that you're saying?
You gotta go back into general government.
It's under general government.
They're in different
We
places.
stuck it all in
No,
there.
they're not in different places anymore. They're all under general government.
General
I do have
government.
5 or 6 line items to break it out between zoning, planning, general government.
The full legal budget for the town is $118,188.
That's for everybody, right? Police.
That's for everybody.
Library has its own.
Yeah, that's a new thing, but yes, library has their own budget now.
Now, Jim, do they have to, does the department head have to call you first before they contact you, if any?
They do.
Okay. Bruce, the building. Code enforcement. Conservation Commission.
Yeah, John, could I,
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to reduce line 491 by $10,000. If I get a second, I can.
Not a clue.
What budget?
Conservation.
Yeah, this is to pay for,
You
this
have a
is,
second? Oh, you
Let's
second.
put the conversation.
this is to pay to treat bittersweet again with glyphosate. We've done it, we started doing this 4 years ago, I think. It was supposed to be a one and done, it wasn't. They came back again, treating the same bittersweet front bay park. They're doing it a third time, now it's a fourth time. And it's, the glyphosate is not recommended to be used in an aquatic environment. And this is right next to the water. It's harmful to species swimming in the lake. I understand they say not much washes in, but some will.
How do you know?
There's got to be better ways to get rid of bittersweet. I think the town of Albany used goats to get rid of their bittersweet.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The area that we're talking about, a Goodwin Basin, Front Bay Park, and the town garden, are those all near back then?
Yeah.
What did you say? Are they all near?
Are all those areas contiguous to Back Bay?
No. Town Gardens is back here.
Okay.
Goodwin Basin, if I understand it correctly, is off of Center Street.
Okay.
Where you have the two bodies of water essentially.
The Front Bay Park is it not?
Front Bay Park is,
That's the rail trail, I think.
The only reason I'm asking that question is if we're using chemicals to do what Matt is talking about instead of using goats or whatever. Is that contributing to the milfoil? The runoff?
No.
No? I'm just wondering, I'm asking a question.
No, glyphosate is a carcinogen. It's pretty well known that it causes cancer.
Okay.
Monsanto invented it back in the 70s and started selling it. Lots of claims developed for people injured, by glyphosate. They used it in a product called Roundup. They now make Roundup without glyphosate. Monsanto sold to Bayer, I think in 2018. Bayer recently settled the cancer claims, deposited close to $10 billion into a fund to pay the claims. I mean, that's rivaling the opioid settlements. I don't know why we're using glyphosate. There's a lot of other ways to get rid of it, or you just live with it. We've lived with bittersweet for 100 years. So I just...
Can I speak to this, John?
Yeah.
So I think we had, when the Lord visited, we asked him a question then as well. So the way I would look at this is, do we want to put, I think is it glyphosate or is it whatever that stuff, all right? Which, there's a lot of class action stuff out there about this chemical. Do we want to do that? My personal opinion, no. Have we held the money back and said to the conservation team, I got the money, but you got to come up with a better theory than glyphosate or glyphosate, because they're going to have to do something. Unless, to your point, we just do nothing. And I'm not a big do nothing fan. Doing nothing is not my idea. I would not support the motion, but I would ask that the town manager hold the money and say, come up with a better idea to spend this $10,000.
John?
Yes, sir.
On the backup information, it says annual review of management plan with consultant.
Yeah,
I don't recall speaking with Lenore about that. I don't recall anybody asking her any questions about that, what this conversation was with the consultant or what the consultant's report was,
yeah.
and she's not here.
I remember asking her, but I don't think she said something, she said that was what was been recommended to us. That's all, the only reference I got.
She did reference that, and that's about all she said.
That's about all she said.
Referenced the consultant, and the consultant came up with this particular plan. That basically was a sum and substance. Did we get a look at the report? No, but she referred to
Do I wanna
it
look
when she
at
was
it?
here.
I looked at it.
And by the way, this, again, historically, Bob, this treatment has been around since I was on that side of the fence too. So this is an annual ask, and maybe the thing to do, Matt, I'm not gonna vote on your motion. I'd ask Jim to hold the money and say, come up with a better idea.
Well, we don't do that, so.
Why wouldn't we do that?
He's the town manager, he runs the town.
It's the department budget.
He runs everything.
We'll just rather than pay the check for that stuff.
That's his call.
Yeah?
He decides. Okay, the motion is to reduce line 491, invasive species, from 10,000 to 0. Roll call, please.
Bobby Feldman.
No.
Bob Tucker.
No.
John McDonald.
No.
Tom Bell.
No.
Bob Mulholland.
Yes.
Brian Black.
No.
Matt Clash.
Yes.
Bob Lohman.
Yes.
Paul O'Brien.
No.
And Brian DeShays.
No.
Right, so 370 fails.
Motion fails. Okay, economic development. Okay, let's move on.
I have a question that probably, Linda, before I make a motion, line 380, outside services, that 6,000, when I look at the backup, it's going to the chamber, and yet we're also paying for advertising with the chamber, that we're paying the chamber, but I'm a little confused by that, because I thought the whole point of the chamber and being in our building for such a small lease and everything else was that calendar was kind of part of the deal, but no, we're paying for them on top of giving them our space for almost free.
The calendar has always been in the budget. They put in an event calendar, they change it over every 3 weeks and update it. The rent that you're referring to, the railroad station, you have to realize that our information booth is there, which we put staff in only a couple of months, and the chamber covers it all the rest of the time for us. So they're not similar. This is for a service they're providing for us, and that is putting that brochure together. It's a trifold. It's usually yellow, and they replace them as the events come in.
Okay, so the backup is though that we're paying for that also.
That's the only thing we're paying for out of this budget, for the chamber.
So we don't pay for the community events calendar?
That's what this is. This is it.
a motion.
But not their.
No, because we're part of advertising, we're paying for it, and we're giving them outside services.
We all set on the, development?
I just have something, John.
Okay.
So, in the executive budget, general government, line 117, part-time wages, that number is 12,882. Well, that was a BOS. That's, I believe that's what we,
Those are our employees.
yes, thank you. That's, so that's, that line actually is used to pay the person who works in the chamber office.
For
Correct.
doing the information booth, and it's only for part of the year, I think.
Right,
June to
and
September, the rest they do it.
She's listed as part-time wages, this person who works in there. So that's 12,882 we allocate for the chamber's purpose, right? We're paying somebody who works in the Chamber of Commerce.
We work somebody who sits at the section of their office.
Right.
That is our information.
In the Chamber of Commerce.
In the,
Okay,
in
so-
the off- in the
Right.
chamber office space.
So,
They do
and-
not do chamber work, they do our work.
Okay, and now in outside services, we allocate the $6,000. So the part-time wages line and this economic development committee line, we've been doing forever.
Forever.
Correct.
Both lines
Well,
add
not
up.
forever, wait. Originally, we had that hut up at the top
Right,
of the
Pickering
road.
Corner, right.
And at that point, it was not in the chamber. The chamber didn't have anything to do with it. When we got rid of that, moved it down to the railroad station, that kind of desk area is the information booth.
So we have a town employee who works in the Chamber of Commerce office.
Correct.
That's
At our
that
desk
executive
in
budget.
there, Yeah.
And we allocate $6,000 to the chamber through the Economic Development Committee.
Right, to
And
put
we've been
this
doing it-
calendar together, they're not connected.
Yeah,
This is
well,
what-
forever for me is the amount of time I've been here,
Correct.
that's.
Can I just ask a follow-on question on that? So this calendar gets printed every?
And it's online on the chamber.
Now, I'm on the chamber site now, and the last entry on the calendar was September 23rd of 2023. So it gets printed, it must only be current the day it's printed. So every 3 weeks they print a new calendar?
You gotta ask me. That's my understanding. It gets, I don't know whether 2 weeks, 3 weeks,
Squishy.
4 weeks, but
Okay.
it gets reprinted multiple times throughout the year. That's where I get that.
And again, I'm not gonna make a motion here, but we have 3 social media websites, each having 8,000 or 9,000 people who are subscribed to it. It might be robots, but let's assume that we just take the number and cut it by 50, 50, 50. We've got 1,000 people on social media sites, but we print a piece of paper. Something doesn't
And we're
square.
paying for it, $6,000.
Okay.
in advertising.
That's what we're doing, you know.
But the chamber has on our calendar nothing since September.
Well,
you're saying.
I just opened up, now, I could be completely wrong, I just went,
Well, when I go, I know.
area, Chamber of Commerce, Community Events Calendar, I just scrolled down and it said, classes at Maldivas, September 23rd, 2023, 10 o'clock. That's all I had. Oh, wait a minute, gathering time, January 14th, 2024. Okay. No.
Is there a motion?
Is there a motion?
No? I'd like to move on if we could.
Yeah, let's do it.
Good. Anything else? Let's go to finance and IT.
It's not funny.
How's the phone system?
Anything for finance? Yeah, technology services. I'm gonna note here, communications, 8,370. Did we cut that, or what did we do with that?
I'm sorry, John, I
Line
just,
341?
341.
Yeah, I have $8,370 written.
Increase, no, there's a backup page where I moved from everybody else's departments,
Okay.
consolidating the telephone under one system. It's on like page 10, you can see all the departments that I took money from.
Okay. What do we have, one person in that position, right?
We have one full-time person, and we have managed IT services, which is a contractual
That's
company.
block 5, right?
Block 5, that's correct.
Okay. Anything else in technology?
Just a
storage?
question on the block 5, John.
Yeah,
So
go
that
ahead.
gets allocated out, so Barry gets in his administrative allocation.
Yeah, we tried to do it by different softwares or
Right,
if,
so PD has ultimate, including long-term storage for their software, and other departments don't. But, you know, PD, I think fire department, everything that they've ever done is stored forever in a server, in the cloud. Okay, just to make sure we're clear. Okay, good.
okay.
Okay, let's move on to the library.
So John, I'd like to just talk about line 620, office supplies, but not only office supplies for the library, but throughout, because if you look at technology that we were just in, their office supplies went up from 450 to 750, just throughout our whole budget, office supplies are huge. I'm wondering if I could just make a motion for line 620 in every department to be cut by 30%.
How much? 30?
30%. Because, like, if you look at the library, we're going from, you know, their office supplies, they spent $1,400. When she sat here, she told us that most of our increase, which if you looked at books and periodicals, we're going from that 45 up to the 59. Most of what happens in the library, she stated, was through Hoopla and Libby, which I'm an avid user, and I understand it. But to have our office supplies increase by 2,000 there, and then just throughout the budget, again, just in technology that we were just on, went from 450 to 750. Just our office supplies are out of control through our whole budget. So I'd just like to make a motion that we cut office supplies through the whole budget 30% in each department.
Any second to that? Motion fails. Okay, anything else in the library?
Just a question for Casey. All donations are in from the library for prior years? Everything's in?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Nope, they only $1,700 for donations.
But nothing in the 100,000 range? All
No, because that project is lapsing. I never received the landscaping donation, but the project is lapsing.
So we're not going to start any landscaping until we get a donation?
I believe the Board of Selectmen will be discussing that tomorrow.
Okay.
It was a warrant article that is being withdrawn.
Okay. I'll pay attention to the Board of Selectmen meeting tomorrow. All the time, I can't wait. I watch it on YouTube.
Line 830, I'll make a motion to reduce that to $3,500.
Programs, number 830, is reducing from 5,000 to 3,500, correct, John?
Yes. Over previous years, it's been there $2,000 last year. Do I have a second to that from anybody?
I'll second it.
Okay. They spent $1,385. They originally requested $2,000, and I don't know why Jim increased it to $5,000.
At the request of the library trustees, I believe they were trying to do some, did she say like ADA compliant programs? I believe is what she said.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have that in the backup.
Right, the library trustees asked us to increase it, so we did by the $3,000. And I believe when she was presenting, she said it was for ADA compliant items.
So they're also doing more programming for our children, and they go to the farmer's market. And the library is actually covering a lot of recreation and programming for our children right now.
Okay, any other discussion? Yes.
In the last meeting, we voted to reduce the bottom line by 75,000.
Yeah.
These cuts that we're trying to make tonight, expecting that to be in addition to what?
Yeah, if Jim's identified them as one of his cuts, it'll just be a wash.
So if he's, I mean, if we vote to remove something tonight, Jim can, you know, just move that as his total.
Yeah.
Right, so we're not looking to go above and beyond the 75,000.
No.
Thanks, Brian. Good question.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Bobby Budman,
No.
Bob Tupper,
No,
Joe McDonald,
Yes.
Tom Bell,
No.
Bob Mulholland,
Yes.
Brian Black,
Yes.
Matt Flash,
Yes.
Bob Lohman,
Yes.
Paul O'Brien,
No.
and Brian DeShanes.
No.
Passes 5.
5-5, I think it fails.
Oh, it's 5-5, it fails,
Yes.
right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5-5, fails.
Okay, let's move on.
Yes.
Police and communications.
I have a question for,
Yeah.
I was early, I'm sorry. Okay. So Chief Chase, I've asked this of Steve and of Chief Zadi. Overtime is about 2% of the general fund budget. That's a big number in total, everybody, okay? And I asked Steve, do you need more headcount? Are you okay with overtime? And his answer was, I wait till a snowstorm hits and then I put people in trucks and plow stuff. Don't need more headcount, we'd like to do at some point. Chief Zadi answered, doesn't appear to be a headcount issue, we do what we have to do. My question is to you guys, you have I won't go into the details of your overtime, but there's a lot of overtime in the department. Do you need more headcount, or is overtime the right thing to do?
Overtime is right. Excuse me. Overtime is right thing to do.
Okay.
The cost of one brand new employee is over $110K a year now, so it's inevitable in our operation. And, you know, it's 24 hours, so we don't need more bodies.
Okay, I'm satisfied with your answer. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have anything else for the police? Jim, we had a question about the MOUs. Did you get anything back yet? Anything in writing?
Refresh my memory on what the questions were.
The contents of the MOU for the 4 employees?
Legal opinion.
Look forward, please.
MOUs that were part of your minutes a few weeks back, Chief.
I have got feedback, I can't remember what it is at this
Chief.
point.
Okay, if you can just forward that to everybody so they can see it.
Lieutenant, executive.
Make sure they're okay.
Yeah, I must have missed it. I thought it was 2. I thought it was the chief and the captain, but there was 2 more. Okay.
It's attached to the minutes that
Okay, got it.
Ian sent out. I don't know what date, but.
Okay.
Okay, communications? Casey, what do you have for 341? I've got an increase of $2,000, $8,760.
I'm sorry, where are you again, John?
Line 341, communications.
I have the budget up $1,000. Is that what your question was?
Yes, you have it at 7,760.
7,760. Where are you seeing that?
I have that we went up 2,000.
I have it 2,000.
So the 8,760.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay, so that's Chelsea on that number?
Okay.
Okay,
You guys increased it.
yeah. Okay, anything else in communication?
No.
Animal control?
I got off track.
We all set? Move on. Fire department, emergency services.
I'd like to ask questions about the ambulance service, just because we had already spoken about the fact that that is going to be stuck at the 275 if we default. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So has the select board decided that they're going to put forth a warrant article if we end up on the default budget?
Board of Selectmen hadn't decided the thing, hadn't had a discussion about it.
Okay. Does this committee ever put
Just,
forth a
do I
warrant article?
follow on to that one?
No, we can't do that.
Wait a second. You all set, Linda?
What?
Are you all set? You all done?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
So the budget that's in front of us, though, includes
correct.
Yes.
the ambulance
Yep.
up. Okay. And while we're on that, is there something, because I haven't seen it, maybe again, I've just heard, is there something I can read that tells me what the contract or what the business, anything I can read on that, other than it's just gotta go up $500,000 or $500,000?
About what?
The ambulance.
750, we have a bid
You want to
price.
know, you want the contract?
Well,
for the ambulance?
whatever, that's a big number, that's a big up number. I mean, is there something we can read, or?
What's making it go up so much?
It was a bid,
Yeah, we put out a bid.
and this one didn't, and then they were gonna come back and they
Yeah.
said they do it. We have not, the Board of Selectmen has not seen a contract yet.
No, they
Oh,
haven't.
okay. So you haven't seen it?
No, I have not seen a contract.
That's correct.
No,
Well, if you hadn't seen it, I sure probably haven't seen it.
no, I don't think so, unless I missed something.
You have not.
We don't anticipate any changes from the
Did you
existing
really
contract, do
break
we?
out that bid into certain sections? You know, for certain services, the ambulance?
So-
Or is it just a blanket, yes, we'll cover you?
So when we put the bid out, we had two bidders. Those two bidders came in to provide us the equivalent service to what we're receiving today was 1.4 million and 1.1 million, I think. I can't remember right off the top of our head. The incumbent said that they wouldn't bid on that. The incumbent, after the fact, we looked at the fire department taking it on. We need to have that document reviewed by a third party, which we're planning right now. And the ambulance provider is willing to, our incumbent is willing to provide the same service as we have today for the $750,000, which is less expensive than the alternative.
Excuse me, for what term?
The term is open at this point, we're still in negotiation.
With the incumbent?
Yeah.
It's still open?
It's 1 or 2 years.
1 or 2 years, okay.
It could be, they could come back and say, we want to do it the year after that too, right? Yeah.
So it's probably 2 years and that's the end of it, and a new contract is gonna be probably up for grabs, right? I mean, more than likely, just, I'm not committing, I'm trying to get you to commit to something, but I think that's where we're at, isn't it?
I think that's a fair statement.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any tie in this agreement that says we're doing this on the predicate that we're going to have a successor agreement, which means you're taking over the business? Is there any tie in the agreement, or is this?
Nope.
Okay, in good faith, you guys need to work out a plan to take over the operation, and until you do, we'll stand by you. Is it kind of more the latter, or is it the former?
We're still in negotiations with the contract.
That raises a caution.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Nothing led you to believe that after 2 years, they're gonna walk away and say, we're gonna do this anymore.
Or after
They haven't
2
said
years.
that. At 2
They
years, we're
have
gonna be all
not
done.
said that, but
Okay.
there also have been 2 places in the state of New Hampshire where
Yeah. Iron Drive.
24 hours we're closing the doors.
Yeah.
And they didn't bid.
Yeah.
They didn't bid when we put it out to bid.
Well, we must have done something for them not to want to do it anymore over here. Something must have happened.
They sent us a letter.
Well, my understanding is that they no longer make money transferring from somebody's house to the hospital. They only make money on the transfer hospital to hospital. So they're trying to get rid of the town's transport because Medicare has paid less and less, and they can't cover their expenses. That's the reason.
Tom?
little I know about it, there could be two things that might help. Having stewards housed at the fire department building, the safety building, versus a separate location. And secondly, just allow them to not have to do what you're saying. Is that the other thing is, from what I understand, they're that they go out on every call, whatever it is. Not sure if that's effective. So, just some things.
Pretty much protocol.
That's protocol.
Yeah, but what's protocol? Is that state mandated protocol?
I think it boils down to state of readiness. You're paying for that state of readiness. You do the math of 4 employees, 24/7, 365, you are looking at over $1 million of labor expense alone.
What I'm suggesting, though, is that they're running on every call. They, from what I understand, they responded to a transformer fire on Sewell Road. They were the first ones on site. There was no life safety issues there. But, you know.
I would beg to differ. A gentleman hopping or a lady hopping out of a piece of apparatus with 70 pounds of gear on, there is a life safety issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
I've watched the transformer fire since I live on Sewell Road, and I know where you speak, getting there, I can tell you, you wouldn't want to be over there without an ambulance around. Thank you very much.
Bob?
Yes, Stewart's Ambulance is a top shelf organization. They saved both my wife and myself, and I sure as heck wish they were staying. They shipped me from Huggins down to CMC, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay.
Price just went up.
It did, that's why we got it.
The price of the service.
Let's go on to fire and rescue, anything there? You want me to do it, Bob? Fire hydrants.
Oh, no, no.
Fire hydrant, come on.
Oh, no.
Come on, do the fire hydrant thing.
No.
Okay.
I make a motion, you don't do that.
Okay.
I'll
So
second.
we're all set on the fire and rescue section. And wish you could work some kind of deal out with Breeze Line where we didn't have to pay for all the internet services that we get. I don't know what we
I
spend.
think, well, I'm not going to speak to that. Because I'll get myself in trouble.
Okay, so emergency management.
You could work out a deal with a wireless carrier.
It's 1914, you got it? You got it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Move on to public work. Administration. Jim, how many open positions do we still have, you know?
Didn't hear that.
How many open positions do we have?
I believe that we currently have two open full-time positions.
In the town,
I believe so.
on a head count of roughly.
87 full-time employees, 20 full-time, part-time.
That's amazing.
We're still looking for an engineer.
We are.
Is that counted as one of the?
It is.
Highways and streets.
John, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I think it's line 380.
Which one?
380.
I don't know, Jim, if you know or not. This includes tree removal, I think.
Yep, roadside tree. Part of that.
$25,000. Is there gonna be another warrant article
There is,
on tree removal too?
there is,
And how much will that be?
25.
I think it's 25 for
25,000.
15 of removal and 10 of planting, if I remember correctly.
So we're doing it in both places?
Yeah.
We're doing it actually more than that, because we have some in Parks and Rec
We have
as well.
some Parks and Rec,
So-
but not for removing, for trimming.
I think it's removing as well, but Steve Randall's here, he can probably speak better to what his plan is. I think this is more of the nuisance ones that hit us in a storm as opposed to the scheduled replacement of some of those diseased trees.
But it's outside services, not,
So the warrant article money is for the tree study that we did to take down the trees that are identified in said study. The ones that are in my operating budget are for any other tree anywhere else in town that needs to come down.
But
who figures that out?
I do,
in conjunction with tree warden.
yes.
And there's also a study telling us which ones need to go, or?
That's different. The study is for the warrant article budget. This is not in the study. These are the storm we had 2 weeks ago. Half the tree snaps off.
Yeah.
We have to take the rest of the tree down.
Okay.
So that's what this covers.
And the study only did a certain section of town, it wasn't the whole town.
So, so the study doesn't cover Beach Pond, anything North Wolfeboro, anything along those lines that come around. So Barry will cover what he can under the power line, but if it's across the street and it leans, that would be on the highway department, and that's what that covers.
But I think, Matt, you asked if you may say tree trimming. Tree trimming, which is making sure that we don't have an infrastructure for both Barry's budget. It goes out to trim trees.
We trim them at the stump.
We give him a haircut down here.
You all set on that, Matt?
So that's basically an emergency tree removal.
Correct.
Barry's is plan.
So this is, and outside services, is that equipment rental, or? you
No,
just hire
outside
someone to
services
do it?
is, so we go out to bid for tree work. It's the same tree company you saw, the same one Barry uses, we use all the same. I just pay them depending on what they're doing. If they're doing warrant article work, which was along this quarter this summer, that's what they did. If I had to move them to Beach Pond Road to take down a bad section, then the highway department paid for it.
So town employees aren't doing that?
Correct. The town employees can do some, it depends on the degree of danger. You know, if it's height, we don't have a lift.
Yeah.
We're not licensed to do lift work, and we do have a program, and that's another conversation.
All set? Okay, let's move on. Anyone else have any for highways and streets? Bridges? Public works garage? Building and grounds? Okay, solid waste. Okay, let's move on to Parks and Rec. Libby.
Line 117. I'd like to reduce that line by the open part-time position for the $3,391.
Are you on the Libby Museum?
Libby, page 1.
What's the new number you like, Bobby?
The part-time position, the third part-time, so we have We already have 3 employees there, the supervisor and 2 part-timers. There's a third one that the position's open. I'd like to reduce it by that position to $3,391.
Is that a motion? Did somebody second that?
There's been a second, yeah.
Nope.
Second. So what's the need for the third open part-time position? What's the need?
I think it's just to accommodate schedules. I'm not sure.
How many, and you probably don't know because we don't have anybody here, maybe you do. How many people walk through the doors and paid a fee to come into the Libby this past summer?
We've been averaging about 3,000. I couldn't tell you right off the top.
$5. Yeah.
Without that position, we have 65 hours a week that we're
Yeah.
already covering.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, in my mind, do this alignment of costs and revenues. I mean, the revenues are de minimis. We have 300 and some odd, how much we get in capital reserve, 330, 320?
300,000 plus whatever the interest has been over that
Yeah,
time.
yeah, that went in when I was a rookie, so we haven't touched that to fix anything. I'm
But we
kind of
are
supporting
having a
Bobby's
study.
motion.
We're having a study done to know exactly how to sequence the
Yeah.
repair, so it's not like we've done.
I've been off the board for a few years.
No,
God.
$3,391 is the open position. I'd like to cut that from line 117.
Yeah, we're subtracting.
8314.
8,000.
Sorry.
Okay, anything else?
Is there a reason that this question wasn't raised when the representative from the department was here to perhaps?
Don't think she was.
She was
She
not.
wasn't here.
She's
She's part-time.
gone.
She was part-time, she was off of it.
Well, that's a reason.
Tom? Anything else? Okay, the motion is reduce line 117 to $8,314.
Bobby Bedman,
Yes.
Bob Tuffer,
No.
John McDonald,
No.
Tom Bell,
No.
Bob Mulholland,
Yes.
Brian Black,
No.
Matt Flash,
No,
Bob Lohman,
Yes.
Paul O'Brien,
Yes.
okay, and Brian Shea.
No.
Fails.
Fails, motion
Four.
fails. 6-4. Anything else on Libby? Okay, park administration.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
For the town manager. Line 114, our hourly wages. We had an employee go up to that other full-time position, and we still have one position open. Is that correct?
The other position has been filled.
Oh, it was filled, even with the freeze?
It's filled as of going through the background check and all that stuff right now.
All set? Okay,
I
anything?
just have a comment. When you were in here, I had asked about that freeze, if we weren't going to be filling that position, and you had stated that we wouldn't be looking at it or filling it till after the new year. So we actually did go forward and start filling the position and find a person.
I did the final interview with the person on the 27th, I believe, and background check is ongoing now, and I think
Okay.
they plan on onboarding
So
around
we
the
did
9th.
fill, okay, thanks. I would have cut that before.
The person's not getting paid until we're onboarded, so I would say he's filling it after the new year. That'd be
But the
better.
person's already hired, so I can't cut a position that I feel is bloated
Oh, I
in
see.
that department, especially because we brought on more full-time people who are now covering Abenaki and covering Pop Whalen. So now we're looking at 5 full-timers in that department. Okay.
Okay, park maintenance.
Understand your comment, Bobby.
Beaches.
Beaches, line 117. I'd like to make a motion to cut line 117 by $37,050, which are the beach attendants and gatekeepers. All over town, we have signs up saying where people can and can't park. You go to other towns where there are town beaches and there's a sign up, and the police go through the parking lot if anybody parks there without a permit. I think that this should be shifted on to our police just ticketing people who are parking illegally in our parking lots, and take out the $37,050. However, there's another part to this. I'd like to move that salary to the town dock people, but I'll get there later. So line 117, I'm making a motion to remove $37,050.
A second for the conversation.
Why don't you come up with a number, Bobby?
So that number is the beach attendants and gatekeepers. We have 2 at Cary Beach, 2 at Albee Beach, and 1 at Brewster Beach. And instead of programming our beaches with lifeguards and using the money that way, we are having people stand in our parking lots, telling people they can't park in these places. However, all the other beaches in Laconia, you go up to Tuftonboro, there's a little sign that says this is a, citizen beach only by permit. And if someone illegally parks there, the police officers ticket their car.
John?
Yes, sir.
So, just so we're clear, the beach attendants that are there, they're not, or are they, either they are or they're not, they're not doing any maintenance work like picking up stuff and fixing up the, so they're there purely and exclusively.
They will evaluate the beach and pick up as needed, but their main
Their task is to
premise
sit there at the gate.
Sit there at the gate and be a gatekeeper.
And so the motion here is to transfer the responsibility of checking on stickers from those people to the police department. That's the motion, right?
Well,
That's basically the motion.
essentially, yes.
So,
To remove that
take them out,
37,000.
PD, drive around, if you see someone that has a sticker that, or not a sticker, write a ticket.
John,
Okay?
Well,
when you're ready.
go ahead.
I see a couple of issues with this motion. The first issue is to park at Cary or Albee, you need a sticker or some kind of a permit. And I believe it is the duty of the beach attendant to refuse entry to that driver who is trying to enter one of those beaches without said permit. I don't think the police have enough staff to run around and check the beach permits, and I just don't think that's a good idea. In the case of Brewster Beach, Brewster Academy and the town entered a new lease somewhat recently as a result of a major fracas of a summer down there in 2020. And removing this person from Brewster Beach might violate that lease. So, and Brewster Academy is pretty strict about that. That lease is written to, in the effect that if they feel that the town is not taking care of Brewster Beach, they'll order the town to close the gate, and that's it. We're done with Brewster Beach for that particular summer. So I don't think this is a good motion.
So I will remove my motion and change my motion to taking $29,640 off that line, leaving the $7,410 for Brewster Beach. So $29,640 reduction on that line.
Can I speak to this?
Yeah, bring Andy quiet for a second.
All right.
It needs a second first.
Anybody to
And
second
Paul
that?
has to withdraw his second.
Paul, you gonna second that?
No. No.
Yeah, no. Your motion fails.
So the current motion is still on the table,
I
right?
think she withdrew it.
I withdrew my motion to adjust for Brewster Beach.
But just as an FYI, there was two things I think that brought we need to have stickers or some identification on your car to the fore. One was folks just showing up that allegedly don't live in town and have plates that don't have a live free or die on them. But there was another allegation that people were showing up with buses. And, a bus would pull up and people would leave the bus and then later on they'd pick people up. So there were two problems that were,
Well, you can walk into any beach.
you can come in off the water, it's a state,
Yep.
it's a state waterway.
Yep.
So there were two issues about the need for gatekeepers. That's what predicated the, Bob, you were in the midst of this. Wasn't those the two issues?
I was not involved with Albee and Carrie. I got involved with the warrant article. I wrote the warrant article for Brewster Beach.
Yeah. So I think there were two, and I think having PD, going around and checking to see if a busload of people showed up is probably not practical. And having people that don't have stickers and writing a ticket might be practical, but I'm not sure they have the resources to do it. So, ordinance, I don't know. Yeah, there's an ordinance.
Casey, what's the year-to-date on that?
No, it's how we solve the problem because the warrant articles that.
It was 44,000 through October of '23, but if you recall, there was a very rainy season, so this is part of the money that was not spent because the beaches weren't being used.
John, is there a motion?
No, there's no motion.
No. Wasn't seconded. Just look.
I'll do a motion, drop that line to $60,000.
What was
Part-time
that?
wage of $117.
In beaches?
Yeah,
Down to 60?
60.
I'll second it.
The reason I made that motion is because in 2022, we spent $45,299. Year-to-date, $44,335.50. And I can't give money out on whether it's raining or doesn't snow. I just try to use common sense. And I think that gives them plenty of money. Actually, an extra $15,000 over the previous years, if anything happens. That's what I got to say about that.
Thank you, Jeff. Clarification, now, these wages are for what purpose?
Get them on this.
I don't have my book open. They're for what purpose?
Beach, it says beach attendants and gatekeepers.
So you-
Well, it's also lifeguard swim instructors. It's also more than that.
Oh, the ones you're talking about.
One
is
The line he's on.
The one that
includes
John's on, the line that John is on.
Line 117.
Okay.
Part-time wages.
Lifeguards, weekend supervisor are all in there.
How much you dropping that, John?
I'm dropping it down to $60,000.
Decrease of 10,590. The town manager already took 13,000 out of this line item too.
So they spent $44,299 in 2022.
Yep.
$44,335.50 in 2023.
But I will say, they did not have a swim team. So they lost their swim team, so I just want to make sure we're not going to harm a swim team or we're going to harm the instruction.
John, here's where I come out of this. I mean, the beaches, I like, personally, I use one of the beaches that Bob Tucker doesn't go to. I use the one down Cary. And I like the fact that it's kept clean. I like the fact that people come in the morning and they rake stuff up. I like the fact that on occasion, we didn't have last year, you'd have a life person there to help. I kind of like the fact that we do that. I don't know whether 10,000 of a haircut makes sense. I don't know whether it doesn't make sense, but Jim, where are you on that?
If I thought I needed to cut more, I would cut more than the 13.
There's not even any money in here to clean Cary beaches, that's done by volunteers.
You shouldn't have said that.
You're telling me no lifeguards break when they're down there?
They
That's what
do.
you're telling me?
They actually do.
The problem is
The lifeguards actually go out and they pick stuff up, and they go in the washrooms and they clean stuff up in there,
There's
so.
no lifeguards.
So the problem is because we
There's-
have the
there's an attendant that
gatekeepers
shows up,
who
drives
pass
around,
the
shows
money
up.
to the gatekeepers and pull the lifeguards off.
No, I misspoke. There's an attendant that shows up, drives around in a car, and goes and cleans stuff up, but they do it. Is that, I don't know.
That's part of
Shouldn't have said
maintenance.
that.
Casey, do you have the 5-year average on that?
Hold on, sir.
Oh, you're
45203, 117. 40, a little less than 46,000.
Every year?
39, 48, 51, 44, 45.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? Okay, call vote on the motion. The motion, line 117 to $60,000.
Bobby Budman,
Yes.
Bob Suffer,
No,
John McDonald,
Yes.
Tom Bell,
Yes.
Bob Mulholland,
Yes.
Brian Black,
Yes.
Matt Clash,
Yes.
Bob Lohman,
Yes.
Paul O'Brien. What?
No, he said no.
And then Brian DeShays.
No.
2, 3. Okay, 7 to 3, so it passes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Anything else on beaches? Okay, let's move on. Programs.
Yes, programs, line 117. I'd like to cut that by 13,760. And that would be the cost of the day camp director and the assistant day camp director. And the reason I'd like to do that is because, as stated before, we have 4 full-timers in that department. And within that program, there are also 10 employees as counselors. I feel like the park director or the assistant park director or the program director or the assistant program director should be able to step up and run that camp.
I'll second for the conversation.
Casey, what's the 5-year average on it?
49,000, 43, 57, 45, 49, 52.
So I think if I hear Bobby correctly, Bobby's saying we should be able to repurpose other resources to cover for what you're proposing to reduce.
Well, we have increased our full-time staff by 3 full people. So it makes no sense to bring in part-time staff to fill programming roles that we now have full-time staff that could easily move into that, especially because 2 of those directors used to also handle the ice skating rink and Abenaki. That's off their plate now. So if their job is just to do programming, let's let them program.
So that, you're suggesting we take permanent resources and repurpose them to cover for these resources that you're recommending remove.
Yes.
And that's an appealing idea, Jim. What do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah.
I think it's gonna prohibit the Director of Public Works from doing, or Public Works.
Yeah, Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec from doing strategic planning within the department.
You think it would handicap?
I don't think you'd be able to do any strategic planning within the
You've had
department.
that conversation about this opportunity? You've talked about this opportunity?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to speak against it. It's probably one of the best programs we have in the town. If you go down in the summertime, see all the kids running around, they're well supervised.
I'm not getting rid of the programming. I'm saying that we have added $100,000 to the skating rink and to Abenaki to cover where now that director, assistant director, we've added a full-time program director And we've added another full-time position that we're about to bring on board. So just for programming alone, we have 4 full-timers.
But Bobby, there's a lot of stuff those guys were hired before you came here, like how many cemeteries do they have to mow now? Some of those guys
That's
are
not
mowing
part of this.
cemeteries.
That's not part of this, John. You're confounding it. So I need to go on record here and say that I actually have a master's in this field. This is a field that I've worked heavily in. I've been a recreation director in an area with 230,000 people. And we have 4 full-timers in programming. Why do we need to hire a camp director and assistant camp director when we have 4 full-timers who are supposed to be recreation professionals, who we still have 10 counselors for that program? 10 counselors for that program. I'm just saying, if we're hiring, if we have a recreation director, assistant director, a programmer, and now we have another full-time staff member in that position, why do we need to bring in part-timers to fill programming? They should be responsible for some of the programming.
Okay, anything else? Okay, the motion is to decrease line 117 by $13,760. Leanne, please.
Yep, Bobby Budman.
Yes.
Bob Tupper.
No.
John McDonald.
No.
Tom Bell.
No.
Bob Mulholland.
No.
Brian Black.
No.
Matt Flash.
No.
Bob Lohman.
No.
Paul O'Brien. And Brian DeShays.
No.
190 fails.
Motion fails, okay. Programs. Community Center. Town docks,
Line 140?
140, okay?
Yep. I think it's important to have that line. However, we pay those attendants $14.25 per hour. They are not paid by overtime they're brought in. Right now, we're using 3 dock attendants and we're paying them overtime at $38 an hour to do the dock handling. I don't understand why we can't use some of those gate attendants at $14.25 an hour to do the dock, so I'd like to reduce that line by $9,120.
Okay, is there a second? Motion fails, was it? Okay, patriotic purposes.
Patriotic purposes, page 35.
We'll go to Clock House.
Is there a lease?
Cemeteries. What's year to date on that? 5 years, 5-year average.
The whole budget,
The 5-year average, is it been like 7, 8, 9,000
10,000.
is the most?
Yeah. Well, that's all, the bottom line. It's been about 7,000, 10, 15, 11, 8, 10.
Okay, I'll make a motion to reduce line 117 cemeteries to 15,000.
Second for the conversation. What's in the line? I don't have my book open, I'm sorry. Does that include cleaning up this tombstone? Or just mowing and maintenance of the facility?
Maintenance, restoration, preservation.
So that includes then the ancient tombstones that get cleaned?
Well, mind you, 11,200 of that is reimbursed from the cemetery trust funds.
If the work gets done. So we only got like $3,000 back this year, but that's all we spent on that piece of it, restoration and preservation.
And we had a very nice letter from someone who came looking for their ancestor and was impressed on how well kept our cemetery was and could find the stone, and the stone had been refurbished, and they were extremely happy and surprised.
Okay, thank you.
The refurbishing is part of line 650.
So I don't know the book, Josh, so.
No, that's groundkeeping supplies. The actual people that we pay would be up in part-time wages.
Okay, so where's the cemetery restoration? That doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Supplies.
No, that's $500 for materials. If you go to page 43, you'll see the breakdown of wages,
Oh, yeah.
part-time people under maintenance, and then 2 restoration, preservation people that are reimbursed through the trust fund.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? The motion to reduce line 117 to $15,000. Leanne, please.
Bobby Budman,
No.
Bob Tuffer,
No.
Joe McDonald.
Yes.
Tom Bell,
Yes.
Bob Mulholland,
Yes.
Brian Black,
No.
Matt Plash,
Yes.
Bob Lohman,
No.
Paul O'Brien,
No,
and Brian DeShays.
No.
Motion failed.
Fails.
Okay, Abenaki. Anything for Abenaki? Okay. Hockey week. You have cameras up there, Jim? Do you have cameras?
So there is a camera system in the arena itself, which is called Live Barn, for people to be able to watch the hockey games or events going on. And we will be putting cameras in the lobby and down the alley, or aisleway for the locker rooms, but obviously not in the locker rooms.
who's gonna monitor that? That won't be monitored?
It won't be monitored any place, it'll simply be
Stored there?
stored in-house if there's damage. And that was part of one of the agreements that was written for the locker room agreements.
Does they have cameras? Or cameras but not monitored?
Have cameras which can capture damage being done in the common areas.
Okay. But there's no carve out that said cameras but not monitored? Okay.
Correct.
So you'll store them on a video recorder?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else in the hockey rink? Water fund.
Tigers.
Where are we going to?
Water fund. Don't be mean, Linda.
Tigers. Tigers.
Slowly I turn.
Yeah. Technology services. Water distribution. what was the increase, Jim, to a 2,600, which what they wanted and what you approved, I guess, is that?
Where, John, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, on distribution 113?
113?
Yeah, I'm gonna up with $2,600, so. We didn't increase, but I take it.
The town engineer giving the cost down.
Still at 111,585.
So you're looking at water distribution, account 113?
Yeah.
Jim moved it up by the 3.5% for anticipated raise.
Okay, so that's where the 2,600 came.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. Almost there. Water distribution. Get that one open position for
Correct.
engineer.
Correct.
Do you think, is there any money we can save there, Jim? Do you think you're gonna have him do a full year with the, by the time you hire him and stuff, fully have a full-year position, or?
No, because we have not, I mean, we've received a couple of candidates, but the posting is still open.
But you are using some consulting and not, we're using a part-time person
Yep.
who's filling some of that function.
Correct.
Okay, so that's what you use some of the
Yeah.
money for? Okay, thank you. Water treatment plant. Okay, let's move on to electric.
Barry.
Did you have to use any of that money from the?
We won't know. We haven't had to as of yet, but we will not know.
Okay.
For a little while. We're very optimistic that we won't.
I have a question, John.
Yeah.
So in the capital outlay for MED, there's $100,000 to replace an interior ceiling, which was proposed by the town manager, and our colleagues over here said no. How come?
So the work isn't ready for prime time. We're working with Bergeron Technical Services to come in and conduct a building evaluation of the municipal electric building. That was going to be kind of all-encompassing, to develop a plan as to what we'll be able to do going forward, from replacement of this roof structure to installation of a sprinkler system to entire building system. However, Bergeron Technical Services has had to back out and they can no longer provide us the service because of other contract commitments. So at Barry's recommendation, we backed it out.
So Barry recommended to take it out, rather than put it in and have it available. Okay, wherever you are, Barry, I tried to bail you out, buddy. Okay.
They had a guarantee that you'd also have to save so much money, right? Bergeron, did they have a guarantee that after they came in and did the thing, that we'd save so much money per year?
I don't think so.
No.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, I thought we had them do some stuff up at the county where they saved quite a bit of money by coming in.
That's possible.
Yeah.
A performance bond of some sort, John?
No, they just came in and said, okay, if we replace these lights with these type of lights, we'll save this much money.
Right, the performance.
Yeah, they give us a
We'll
breakdown.
give you a performance assurance.
Yeah. Okay, we're all set on the water fund. Let's move on to the sewer fund.
What about that generator right there?
Technology services, sewage collection, wastewater treatment. you're all set there. Park Rail and revolving fund. Personal administration. The supervisor's salary, he gets paid out of Park Whalen and part of Abenaki.
75% Pop Whalen, 25% Abenaki.
Year-to-date on the part-time wages.
You mean the 5-year average? or
Yeah,
the-
that's fine.
So, average of 18,000, 20,000, 21,000, 21, 19, 9, and 18.
This will be the first full year that we've had it open for the whole
Correct.
season. Thank you.
Hey, back to that prior question, was that the 112,000 that came in at the deliberative session? With that position?
Yes,
Part of it.
part of it.
That everybody said was good?
It wasn't for a full year what they added at the
I
deliberative
understand.
session.
Jeff McGinnis came to the microphone.
I don't know who Jeff McGinnis is, but somebody
Yeah,
added,
and
somebody
Kurt,
added to the,
Wilder came, okay, and, yeah, okay, thank you.
do you know who Jeff McGinnis
This is it on Park Whalen. I think we did the capital outlays the other night. Anyone else on those, or?
Yep.
What's that? The-
Hear back from that track. What we're gonna do.
That's the one article one.
It's in capital.
No, the one in capital outlay, that's the highway department, right? Or the.
Public Works is
Public
buying a
Works.
skid steer for 50% water, 50% Public Works capital reserve fund.
And you don't have any different warrant articles to give us?
There will be one, well, there will be one new one tomorrow evening for the Board of Selectmen, but one's being removed
Couple.
as well. Well, actually, 3 are being removed.
So, but the-
One of financial, 2 of non-financial.
But there could be a warrant article, this ambulance thing, that hasn't been determined yet, right?
That's what the warrant article will be, is to perform the third-party study.
They're also talking about the ambulance.
No, I'm talking about the up on the
200
ambulance.
versus 100.
Or it's like we haven't decided about
Yeah,
that.
that could be a potential warrant article.
It's being discussed tomorrow night.
Good.
But we haven't sent, we've only given them about 10, so the other
Yeah.
10 will all be coming through. Hopefully, everything will be done tomorrow is our goal.
Yep. That is-
We're not looking at another 10, you don't think?
No,
Well-
what you have, I
Yeah.
believe there was 20 in the packet that you received.
Yeah.
3 of those, I believe it's 3 of those will be removed and 1 put in.
Okay.
Maybe 2. So I was rounding with the 10 to 10.
So is it okay with everybody if we do the warrant articles at our next warrant article?
So is that gonna be?
That's
what's it
supposed to
gonna
be on the
December 8th, I did get confirmation today on a location and it'll be in this room.
Next.
January.
January. Okay,
And then the only one wild card to that is if we could receive a petition up till 4 o'clock on the 9th. And if it's a money petition, we'll get it to you.
and that's how about regular petition, when do they shut down?
The
Same
9th.
thing,
The
9.
ninth, okay.
9
4
at
o'clock.
4 o'clock, so if the board has to entertain it, they'll do that at 5 o'clock before your maybe 6 o'clock meeting.
Unless it was someone that already had one.
Okay, Jim, do you have anything else?
No, I just want to make sure that I understand. You tasked me with looking for $75,000 worth of cuts, is that correct? Okay. I'm still working on it. I've got to find another $8,000. Hopefully can do that tomorrow night. We'll be able to get that across to the Board of Selectmen. And then get that back to you guys. I'm hoping to actually send it to you electronically Thursday morning, based on feedback from the Board of Selectmen.
Can I get a clarification then on this? I believe the cuts we made tonight, part of that 75, isn't that the answer we got for Brian?
I don't know what those cuts are, I can't tell you, I don't know what cuts Jim's has done.
No, the cuts we made tonight, Brian asked about it, and I thought it was made clear that the cuts we made tonight are part of that 75.
Only if he has them on his list. He lists them as that.
Well,
He does now.
Don't say anything.
Don't say anything.
I guess I would like to have Brian refresh maybe those two his statement.
Yeah, I mean, that was my question, was, you know, are we, the work we were doing here tonight, was that going to be over and above the 75,000 that we were expecting you to find? And I think the answer I got was no. That's the work that we were doing tonight, you could incorporate into the 75,000 that you were tasked with trying to locate.
And I know some of the stuff that I've picked is going to get chopped back out really quickly.
Procedural question, John?
But as far, I mean, I was trying to keep track and I'd
How
like to
much was
confirm.
cut tonight?
I only think $10,590 was cut.
That's what I
So it's not a big deal, and really, it's,
Yeah.
15,000,
wasn't it?
I thought, I
We
moved
certainly didn't exceed the 75.
7590.
I tried.
John, can I ask a procedural question?
Hold on, Paul, I'll write that down.
75,000, I think.
Yeah.
That's why I love to confer with my colleagues.
When does the budget committee do pencils down and recommend the budget?
After the public hearing.
Okay,
The 9th.
on the 9th, is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay, good.
On the 9th, but then the form needs to be created that the budget committee is responsible to put together, the MS 737, but
Yeah.
that's always been the finance job, but it's your budget, and then you have to meet or stop by to sign it.
So I have a question for the budget committee. If the Board of Selectmen had come with a budget of $34,359,005, would the budget committee still have asked for a $75,000 cut?
I have no idea. I'm not even sure I'm gonna support this budget.
Oh.
I just want to say something. I'm gonna keep contacting people and talking to them about issues. If you guys have a problem, then tell me. I won't do it. Because I'm gonna talk to the guys from Casella and a few other places. Because I want to know why our rates are going up so much.
I think that's fair. I think that's an ongoing thing to do.
No, I'm not looking at you, Bob.
All the
I just love
time.
that. I love that jacket.
Oh, okay, just a jacket.
I'm actually looking at Chief Shakes.
She's looking at me, he's looking at me. It's an ongoing thing you do, and I think we do it with the help and the support of these folks behind us who probably admire the hell out of us for doing it.
Which they should, but they don't. so I-
But can I add something to the
So we went
minutes?
from here to
A couple of questions have been
590,
put forward
as far as I know.
to Casey about.
I'm sorry, I'm
That's all right. I just wanted to add something to our minutes. A couple of questions have been put forward to Casey about our cash situation, and I get the treasurer's report, and maybe we should just have this as a standard thing, you guys can decide, but I'll pass this down to Leanne. This is the treasurer's report from January through the end of November, and I actually have the middle of December. It shows us, how much cash is in the bank, general checking, and all kinds of other things that Casey talked about. I'd just like to have that for the minutes.
Okay, that's a motion. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You can have Amy
Motion
send it
passes.
to you electronically in
Sure.
front of you. Why don't you get it sent to you electronically?
All the time.
All the time.
Every month.
Leanne, if you'd like, every time you ask me for the actual versus budget, just remind me to give you the treasurer's report at the same time.
Absolutely.
All the time.
He does it on a monthly basis
Yeah.
before like the 15th of
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
month.
Okay, approval of minutes.
Just one other thing, John.
I'm sorry.
I was not here at the meeting the other night. I watched it. Were your questions answered regarding the radios?
Kind of, sort of.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that. They'll come back.
I'm done.
I'll abstain on the minutes, John, I haven't read them, I apologize.
Which minutes are we doing?
December 12th, 2023.
Last week.
Any changes?
Yeah, they were last week.
Motion to accept them as written.
So moved.
Second. Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries December 14th, 2023. Any motions or changes concerning those minutes?
Move to accept as written.
Dan, second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes of December 14th, 2023, please say aye.
Abstain. I'll abstain.
If the two abstains. December 18th, 2023 minutes.
Just not go over.
Any motion concerning those minutes?
Move to accept as written.
And a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, the motion is to approve the minutes of December 18th, 2023. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
First.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Thank you, everyone.